tweet that came out from WrestleVotes. WrestleVotes saying that there are big surprises planned for this weekend. So this weekend is going to be very, very interesting. If you're a wrestling fan, this is the weekend that you've been waiting for. Obviously, some of the names that are kind of circulating, I literally just did a members stream on the channel. Some of the names that were getting mentioned there were the likes of Becky and Sasha and Bray being shouted a lot at me. Bray. Obviously, a lot of people want to see him return. I do think they've been waiting, and I think that Bray has potentially been waiting as well. I would be very, very surprised if we didn't get those names very soon. I would also err on the side of caution. I don't think that you tend to do shows where you throw lots of surprises at people. You tend to do one, maybe two surprises. Both of them won't be big. One would be big, one would be small. But really, you want people talking about that big surprise. If you're going to bring Bray back, you don't really want to do it the same week as you bring back Becky, or the same week you bring in John Cena, or the same week that you bring in Brock, because no one's going to be talking about the same thing. Everyone's going to be talking about different people. So you want everyone focused on that one star. You want everyone focused on that one name. So I think we can get excited about this weekend. There will be surprises this weekend, but I really would just curb your expectations just a touch. Just a touch. There will be surprises. Right? And there could be a surprise on SmackDown, a surprise on Money in the Bank, a surprise on Raw, right? There could be some on each of the shows. But I wouldn't expect this weekend to be John Cena, Brock, Becky, Bray Wyatt, Sasha coming back, NXT Core. I wouldn't expect all of that. I think that, if you are sat there and you're thinking that we're going to get all of that, dial down your expectations, right? Dial it down. It's not a bad thing to say that we're only going to get, say Bray comes back at Money in the Bank and you'll get maybe an NXT call-up on Friday, and maybe you'll get something on Monday as well. Maybe like Sasha comes back, or she goes to Raw, or, something along those lines. I think that 3 surprises would be enough. You could argue 3 surprises might even be too much. Because we've just gone a long time without much in the way of surprises. We had Edge come back recently, which was nice. We obviously had Zelina Vega return, which was a nice little surprise. We had Tegan and Shotzi get called up, which I wasn't expecting, to be honest. Had been rumoured like a few hours before, but to be honest, I hadn't seen those rumours. It was only when we were talking in the hour before the stream that people were mentioning it. So kind of caught me off guard a little, that one. So that was a little surprise. They announced Toni Storm, which I was literally just saying I don't think they should have done. I don't think they should have announced Toni Storm. I think that would have been perfectly fine for Friday. And then we could move on to something big for Money in the Bank. So however they're going to carve it up, I am expecting something. I'm not expecting Brock, of course. I'm not expecting Brock. I think there's nothing to say that Brock has re-signed. There's nothing to say that Brock is definitely going to be at Money in the Bank. Certainly not Money in the Bank. Maybe not even SummerSlam. So John Cena, I think, is rumored to be coming back soon. So I would expect him soon, but maybe not this weekend. We also know that Sasha's on her way back soon. We know that Becky's on her way back. We know that Bray's going to show up at some point. Those are the names that I'd be thinking of. Those are the names that I would be looking at. I don't think they want to bring Becky in particular back until there's been a crowd. So we have been waiting for this. We have definitely been waiting for this. I can see Butterspark chanting Becky, Becky, Becky. Austin said, so I shouldn't expect Bray. Well, I think you could expect Bray, but if you're expecting Bray, then that'll be like your Monday surprise or your Money in the Bank surprise. I've got a feeling Becky. I've got a feeling Becky will return. I think we've literally been waiting for the fans. I can't see why you wouldn't have Becky Money in the Bank. I think Becky at Money in the Bank is my pick. I've heard reports of Alex Bloomfield was saying just about Goldberg. So I don't know if there's talk out there. I'm hearing rumblings. There's talk that Goldberg might be Monday. Just rumours, just speculation. I haven't seen anything like 100% he is. But I think my guess would be that we are looking at Becky at Money in the Bank, Goldberg on Monday. I don't know what we get on Friday. I have to admit, if I was Vince, I wouldn't give you anything. If I was Vince, I wouldn't give you anything on Friday. If I was Vince, I would just have really solid show. I'd stack it full of star power. Roman, Edge, whoever. Make sure that, Bianca's there. She will be, won't she? She defends against Carmella. So you've got a women's title match. So you've got Bianca versus Carmella, women's championship match. You're going to get Roman. You're going to get Edge. The show's only 2 hours long. It's the first show that's got fans back as well. You could even do a little summit at the start where Triple H comes out with Seth, give the crowd a bit of a pop for, Triple H's music, so that they can welcome the fans back and everything. You've obviously got the debut of Tony Storm on SmackDown also. I kind of think you look at that and it's a pretty ram show. So, and I think it's going to be an entertaining show as well. So I would do that and leave it at that. And then I think Sunday I would hit you with Becky. Becky comes back at Money in the Bank. And then Monday, maybe there's something in these Goldberg rumours. Maybe there's something in the Goldberg stuff. And to be honest, I don't mind Goldberg coming back because who better for Bray to go after? Do you know what I mean? Who better for Bray to return and face? If we got Goldberg versus The Fiend at SummerSlam, I would be into that. Because I wouldn't have Bray go after the title. And I think that you've got a ready-made story for Bray and Goldberg. Goldberg beating Bray was one of the biggest missteps they took with the Fiend character. There's no way that the Fiend should have lost to Goldberg. There's no way. I mean, all this time later, it shouldn't have happened. And I'm not going to say that he struggled after that, because obviously he went on to have a feud with Braun that had some interesting moments. He then went on to have the feud we'd all been waiting for with Randy, which to me wasn't right, but the way that they booked it. It didn't play enough on the backstory. Didn't play enough on the burning down of the compound. We didn't get any answers. That's the frustrating thing for me. You're looking for those answers, and they didn't play on any of that. The story didn't get more complex, or there wasn't any more to it. We didn't get any nice juicy details. I would love Randy to reveal something when he burnt down the compound. I would love Randy to reveal a detail about that night that we don't know. What was he thinking as he was standing there, or what did he see, or what was it like as he left? I feel like there's some detail that Randy could have revealed about when he burnt that compound down, because we obviously saw the footage, but we don't know anymore. I mean, obviously the picture in the fun house of the cabin being burnt and the woman at the window, and which is obviously Sister Abigail. So there's so much that could have been revealed, and they didn't do any of that for that feud. It just really, in fact, Bray wasn't really around after he got burnt alive. It was just Alexa having Randy throw up black goo. So I definitely think they need to go back to the Randy Orton story, but not yet. It'd be too soon. We've only just had it. We've only just had that feud. So they can go back to it, but not yet. So we need something for the Fiend when he comes back. And honestly, a little program with Goldberg, I think would be fine. I honestly think it would be fine. Normally, I'd be like, oh, that's not what I want. I don't want him facing Goldberg because there's better people for him to face. But that loss was so monumental for the Fiend. It was so monumental that I think it makes perfect sense. Vape Ross Vape says Xi Jinping versus John Cena in an I Am Sorry match. Yeah, maybe they could book that. I think Cena probably would want you to forget about that whole episode, to be honest. I can't imagine that they would want to bring it up. Days, if Goldberg returns, he's going to be facing Lashley, but he should face Bray, and Bray should win. Harley said, Days, it's obvious that it would be for Bobby. Well, I'm still saying that I would want him to face the Fiend. It doesn't change the fact that I think Fiend versus Goldberg would be the right way forward. Talking about how we don't want Fiend going for the title, I would definitely do that story instead. Goldberg versus Bobby doesn't bother me, to be honest. I think that that's a good, credible person for Bobby to beat. The only problem is that Goldberg's lost a few matches recently. So as a result of, the fact that he lost to Drew, the fact that he lost to Braun, I don't know if like some of his, not mystique, some of his star power might have gone. I think also the Fiend result has left like a really bad taste in people's mouths. Do you know what I mean? So I don't mind Goldberg versus Bobby, but I would be more into Fiend versus Goldberg. I think that's the better match because of the history. I don't know if there's any history with Goldberg and Bobby, to be honest. I can't quite recall. So it'd be interesting if they could find something and we went and they built that into the story. But I think that you could easily find some opponent for Bobby. You could easily build someone up. There's people that are around. I understand them wanting them to have a big opponent, though. So I do get it. But I would much prefer Fiend versus Goldberg. Sweet Trini said they need the Fiend to go on a win streak if they want to have any hope of reviving this character. In my opinion, just have him squash people from catering to champions. Jack said, how would you resurrect the aura of the Fiend? I mean, this isn't the conversation we're here for. We're here for Money in the Bank, of course. But, I mean, I'll go wherever people want us to go. In regards to the Fiend, I've said before, I really like the grey area stuff. I think that you can do... It's a little bit like magic, right? In regards to magic, if you do a magic trick and you do it well, people go, how did they do that? How did they do that? And there's a mystery to it, and you're like, it makes you think. And it's like, how did he do that? And there's this like aura, right? This like mystique, this mystery to like if you see a really good card trick, like, on something like America's Got Talent, Britain's Got Talent, something like that. There's been some fantastic magicians, and you go, oh, like Vega shows and all of this. I feel like the Fiend needs to go back to that kind of mystery. I'm not a fan of supernatural stuff, as I think everyone now knows, and has been, covered. I think that for me, you go back more to it can be explained. He could have done it a certain way, like Alexa this week on Raw. She gets dumped over the barricade. They go over. She's gone. So has she, A, scuttled off quickly, right, and managed to hide somewhere? She might even be hiding in the barricade. Like, I think the barricades kind of curl over a touch, because obviously you've got a top part that people walk on. Someone like Alexa, who is stick thin, could get maybe into the barricade and could actually be like hiding inside as the top bit comes off, because the camera looks down like that, but you've got quite a bit of room that someone could probably, if they push themselves right up against the barricade, might be able to hide there. So you do look at it and go, how has she got away so quick? Where has she gone? And I think that to me is scarier. Like the fact that she was there and now she's gone. Where has she gone? And it's like, she might attack you any minute because you don't quite know where she is now. If you go, but also it could be that she vanished, right? I'm not a fan of the supernatural stuff. If she vanished, like, if people can do that, then you could have wrestlers doing anything. Why can't Alexa be pinned for 2 and then she vanishes during the match? That's always been my problem. Alexa's in trouble in the corner of the ring. She's struggling to get the win. So why doesn't she just vanish? That's always my problem. If you're going to give people these superpowers, then how does that work within the wrestling environment? Do you know what I mean? She can make She could make someone throw up black goo. Well, why doesn't she do that to her opponent during the match? Why doesn't she make her opponent throw up and then, like, as they're struggling for breath, pin them? Or if she's losing, just disappear? This is where superpowers struggle for me. So to bring back that aura, I would make it a bit more grey area. I would make it a little bit more where it could be superpowers. You could certainly freak people out with it, but it can, if you sit down and think it through, be explained as well. I love that grey area, and I think the Fiend needs to go back to being this. Has he got superpowers? Or is he just an out-and-out killer? Is he just an absolute psychopath? Because, I mean, like, there was a lot of talk the Funhouse might have been like a mental institute, you know? So I would go back to that. I completely agree. He needs to be stalking people. He needs to be hunting people. We need to get back to him righting the wrongs. We need to get back to him getting wins. We need to get back to him being around, right? We need to get back to really what I thought the start of the character was. I think it can definitely be saved. I think the fact he's been away for so long is going to have helped. I mean, you see it all the time on Twitter, people desperate for him to return. So, you know, he's definitely got a very strong fan base. And take it from there. And let's see what they can book it with. But I think, you know, the booking has got to be better as well. I think I wanted a different story from the Randy Orton story that we got. And, you know, as I said, a lot of it wasn't even based on the past. And I think they could have done a lot more with that. I wanted answers as well. I'm really tired of not getting answers. I think there's come to a point now where it's all well and good, like, teasing you with loads of stuff. Like, you know, you're reading into like, Fiend fans read into everything because, you know, they're obviously under the impression that everything has got meaning. And it's like, you know, you hear a little bit of music, it's like, oh, what did he mean by that? Or he says a certain line, you're like, I think that's come from a film. Or, do you know what I mean? Like, Fiend fans love reading into all of that stuff, which is cool. And I think you can play on that a little bit. But there does come a point where you don't get answers. There does come a point where it's just constantly teasing, dropping this in, doing that, doing this. Like, we still don't know where the Funhouse is. We still don't know what the Funhouse is about. We still don't know what the puppets mean. You can come up with your theories, but it would just be nice to have a few answers. Push the story forward. Get some character development. Get some development with the Funhouse as well. So I think in order for Bray to get that aura back, you need to just do those kind of things. Give him a win streak. Bring back some of the mystique that went. Like, for me, the mystique went. I wasn't bothered by him as soon as he could do anything. As soon as he could get burnt alive and come back to life, I was like, nah, I'm not bothered anymore. If you can do anything, then I'm not bothered. Because where's the drama? Where's the peril? Where's the... You might as well just give him the belts. I've said that before. So, for me, let's get back to the mystique. Let's get back to the, is he a killer? Is he a psychopath? Who's he hunting? Why is he hunting them? Give us some answers as well. Push the story along. And he's definitely savable. And I hope this is the kind of thing that he's been thinking about whilst he's been away, to be honest. I hope this is the kind of stuff that WWE have been working on, because I think you could get some really interesting stuff out of this character. And you could make him Undertaker-esque in the sense of he could have the same legacy, the same... Hard to have the same impact, because I don't think wrestling is having the same impact. Like, you know, wrestling isn't like it was in the Attitude Era right now. So as a result of that, it's hard to have the same impact. But I think the character could still be of that level, even if wrestling isn't having that impact. I think the character could still be pulling its weight that way. So, yeah, we'll see what he comes back as. But will he be back this weekend? Maybe. They might hold off on it. As I said, I think you probably do like Becky at Money in the Bank, Goldberg on Monday. So you might want to wait a week or so. John Cena will probably be back. I think, was it next weekend? I think there was rumours of. So, you know, that's where we are with surprises. I know this is Money in the Bank and people want to talk Money in the Bank, but this is, I think, this is where the interest is, isn't it? People want to talk about the surprises. People want to talk about what are we going to be seeing, who's coming back. We were just talking about the entrance stages as well. We were expecting Raw and SmackDown to have different entrance stages. But we just found out that all 3 shows are in different venues. So SmackDown is at the Toyota Center. Money in the Bank, I think, is at Dickies Arena. And Raw is actually at the American Airlines Center. So all 3 shows are in different spaces. That says to me 3 different entrance stages. Yes, they can break one down and move. But I don't think they will do that. I think there'll be a new stage for SmackDown. I think Money in the Bank will use the stage we've been using all this time. And I think Raw will have a new stage as well, is my guess. Because, in all fairness, to try and break down on a Sunday night to then get over to a different place and put it all up and get your rehearsals done, I don't think you'd have... I know you might have time to do it, but it'd be a rush. So I can't see the same entrance stage for Money in the Bank being used for Raw. You might be able to get away with like Friday, Sunday, so SmackDown stage being used for Money in the Bank. But I think there'll be 3 different sets. So we've got crowds back. I mean, this is tomorrow. So crowds back tomorrow. We've got 3 different entrance stages because we're in 3 different spaces. I think we'll have plenty of surprises. Let me read that WrestleVotes thing out again. I'm just going to read the WrestleVotes tweet because it was very interesting. It says, with the Thunderdome officially behind them, sources state that WWE has some cool and exciting things planned for this weekend. Now, what I would say about that is cool and exciting things doesn't necessarily suggest to me returns. Cool and exciting things might mean splits, turns. Do you know what I mean? It might be that we get tag teams turning on each other, or a babyface going heel, or a new faction invading, or... I mean, to me, bigger than Bray coming back, bigger than Becky coming back, would be the start of a major storyline. A big storyline. You know, like how Retribution last year was like the start of a major storyline. I'm expecting something like that to get started. I'm expecting something big, impactful. I would be more into that than Becky coming back. You could maybe combine the 2. Maybe Becky starts a big feud, or maybe Becky comes back with some people. What if Becky doesn't come back alone? What if Bray doesn't come back alone? I've left a dramatic pause. So, some cool and exciting things planned for this weekend. Expect a surprise or two. Truly a pivotal time in recent WWE history. I am so excited for tomorrow's stream. Tomorrow's stream is massive, of course. It's go home, but still big. And then, of course, Money in the Bank this weekend. And then Raw as well. Like, this has got a mini WrestleMania vibe about it. I really feel that way. It's got a mini WrestleMania vibe. The reason I say that is because I think we've been starved of so many surprises, so many turns, so many storylines, so much creative, that it kind of feels like all 3 shows are going to be big in their own right. Raw might feel like Raw after WrestleMania, which we've been robbed of for 2 years. We've not had a Raw after WrestleMania. We physically had it, but we've not had those call-ups, those shocks, those surprises. We've not had any of those. So I think that, these 3 shows are going to be big. And then, obviously, after that, we build towards SummerSlam. So I think they're going to keep dropping in surprises. I think wrestling from tomorrow is going to be can't miss. It's going to be must-watch. It's going to be a big build to a big SummerSlam. So I'm really looking forward to it. I saw people talking about Tamina. Bonkers saying about Tamina as well. I am 30 minutes in. That's what we are, 30 minutes in, and we've not done the predictions yet. Amazing. So, Tamina has been added. I'm a bit disappointed with that. I think we all wanted a surprise to go into Money in the Bank. The only thing I would say is there's nothing stopping someone getting attacked backstage and us getting that mystery person. We've seen that done before. There might not. It might be a case that they've changed their mind, because it might be the case that they thought we'll have Becky win Money in the Bank, or we'll bring a surprise in or whatever. But they've decided now not to have that person win, and so as a result, they've dropped in this last minute entry. Because I don't know why you would announce it this way, to be honest. I don't know why you would just randomly on a Thursday night say, oh, by the way, Tamina's the last person. It does make me think, oh, was there a slight change of plan there? Was there a slight change of plan? Why would you just announce on a random Thursday night, oh, by the way, the last mystery woman, it's Tamina? Makes me think, oh, I wonder if they changed their mind on something. I wonder if there was going to be a guest person that enters, but now they've decided that they don't want to do that because they don't want them to win, or don't know. But to me, I think a lot of people will be underwhelmed with that. Let's put it that way. The Almighty Supreme One said the last thing we need would be another tag team split. Well, that is true. That is true. There's not really any tag teams I could think that would split that would be that shocking outside of the New Day. As I said the other day, though, I think that the New Day, if you wanted the impact, if you wanted the big impact of the New Day splitting, you needed to do it at the time. You needed to do it during the draft. I think it would have been really cool. Could you imagine if Steph had said, right, next up, SmackDown drafts. Imagine if she'd have done this. Imagine if Steph says, right, Raw drafts Kofi and Xavier. Okay? Raw drafts, but not Big E. And they're all hugging. And they're all, super sad. And they're all I can't believe it. This is the end of the road. And everyone's gutted. And then the next thing she said is SmackDown drafts Big E Langston. And she changes his name. And the picture comes up. And he's in a different attire. And he's moody, right? And Kofi and Xavier look at it like this, and then they turn around, and Big E's face has changed, and he takes them both out. That would have been one of the best tag team splits ever, because you would have got the emotion, first of all, of they're splitting them, I'm heartbroken, and Big E could be I can't believe this, guys, and all of that, and then boom, she swerves you. And says, SmackDown has got Big E Langston. It would have meant a Big E heel turn, which I don't think they wanted to do. But I think doing it that way would have been immense. That would have been fantastic. And I think that's when you would have had the most impact on a New Day split. So if they do it now, it'll still have, it'll still have a moment. You'll still feel it, but it won't have the same impact. So... yeah, I mean, tag team split's going to be difficult because they've pretty much done them all. They've pretty much split them all. And it's a bit early for AJ and Omos, I think. And there's no point doing it with Viking Raiders. You could do it with Street Profits, but I don't think anyone would care. And obviously the Usos have just gone through a bit of trouble anyway, so it's tricky. Tag team splits would be tricky. But the forming of a new faction might be all right. Could get something out of that. Eric Defcon Prime Dirigi said it feels like an exciting soft new start. I agree with that. I don't know if you saw the video that WWE just tweeted out, but say just, it was about 8 hours ago. But I watched a few seconds of the start, and it's got all the wrestlers in the stands looking glum, and Vince saying this weekend we welcome back the WWE universe. It looks good. It looks like it's a couple of minutes long. I'd imagine, they do them video packages very, very well. So, I think it is. I think you're right. It's not often we get a Vince McMahon tweet. It's not often that we get a 2-minute video like that that's hyping up this weekend and everything. So, I agree. Definitely feels like a new start. I keep coming back to it. I just hope it's a new start for the creative. I just think some of the creative has been stale. It's been drifting. It's been dull, to be honest. I think at times wrestling this year has been boring and has not been an easy watch. So I'm looking for creativity, surprises, drama, entertainment, the stuff that you would expect. And I've got high hopes, man. I really have. I've got high hopes. I'm really excited. Just Shanks Wrestling says, what if Big E wins the ladder match and cashes in on Kofi and Bobby's match and wins the title and then attacks the New Day? Well, it'd be a swerve. It would be definitely significant. I have to go back to what I just said, though. I don't think it would hit as hard as when they first split, because I think they're just not seen with each other anymore. You know that they're still all friends, but it's not going to hit the same. It's not going to hit the same as to if they'd have done it before. If they do that, though, it's still going to be a cool moment. Still be a cool moment. So, yeah, I don't mind Big E winning it. And we'll get to the predictions in a second. I just want to read some of your thoughts first before we get to the predictions. There's only 6 matches, so it's not going to take us long to go through each of the matches. Normally, how I do this is I go through the matches first, and then I jump into the chat after. But I think with this one, it's a little bit different, because I don't actually think the matches are the important thing this weekend. I think this weekend it's about the return of the fans, the potential surprises, the change in creative direction, the change in presentation. Steph told us there's going to be a new presentation for the shows, for the wrestling. What she means by that, we don't yet know, but we know that augmented reality is going to play a bigger part. So augmented reality is it's kind of the graphics when you first walk out. You know, like they've got the Rhea Ripley ones, or Riddle when he kicks off the flip-flops. The birds go shooting off and flying off. That's what they're looking at. They're going to look to use more of that. I can't figure out how, but they're going to look to use more of that. During entrances in particular. So it could be they could do anything with it. We saw a giant pirate skeleton coming over the stand at WrestleMania, like a stadium-sized giant skeleton, which was really cool. I think that just gives you a little taste, just a glimpse as to the kind of stuff they could do, the kind of thing they might be looking at. So expect quite a few changes. I think all of that is the real conversation this weekend, rather than do we think Rhea Ripley's going to beat Charlotte Flair, right? I think the bigger conversation is what we've been talking about. Harry said, what kind of surprises do you think will happen at Money in the Bank? We just touched on them, Harry. We've spent about half an hour on that, but I think you could probably expect something for each of the shows. I wouldn't expect too much from Money in the Bank. I think that you might get a swerve, you might get a return, and that might be about it. But a show is not deemed on the surprises that you get. You don't judge a show by, that show wasn't very good, I only got 5 surprises. Like that's not really how wrestling works. Wrestling has always relied on shock moments and surprises, but you can't do them for every show. So I think, definitely expect someone big at Money in the Bank. I'd be surprised if there is no one big. Imagine if we go through Money in the Bank, you don't get anything. I just can't imagine that. I can't imagine that at all. I think you're definitely going to get someone. And I'm really leaning Becky. I don't know why. I'm just really leaning Becky. I think Becky coming back would be a nice moment. There's nothing stopping it being the Fiend. But I just think when the Fiend comes back, he needs to attack whoever his feud is going to be. You know what I mean? I think when the Fiend comes back, he needs to come back, lights go out, lights come on, he's in the ring, he goes after someone, and that's him sorted. And stand by what I said earlier. Personally, I think that the perfect person would be Goldberg. And if Goldberg is going to be in the ring on Monday, perfect. Goldberg could be your surprise at Raw. He's talking about how, past few title matches haven't gone his way. He wants to test himself against the very best. Bobby's the best. Lights go out. Come on. Fiend in the ring. Boom. Attacks Goldberg. And, that sets up a match for SummerSlam. And they end up facing each other. And, Fiend gets the win. And can kind of right that wrong. Because to me, Fiend has always been about righting the wrongs of Bray. So I would go that way. But it's obviously, seems like they're not going to go that way. But that's what I would look to do. Right, let's try and read some of these. Look, you guys firing in your thoughts, which I love to see. Jack says, how would you react if John Morrison wins the briefcase? Miz comes out to congratulate him and Morrison hits him with his new finisher. I would be underwhelmed. I think that they've done a lot of damage to John Morrison. I just don't care. I think to put the briefcase on him first and then turn him after, as soon as he wins that briefcase, I'm just going to be thinking drip, drip. Same as what we've had last year, really, when The Miz had the Money in the Bank. I'm not into it. It's not aimed at me. I think it's aimed at a younger audience. Miz in a wheelchair because he got ate by zombies. It's just not for me. So I would be underwhelmed. I think for, all the surprises and everything that we're hoping for, I think that would be an underwhelming one. What I would say is, what if Morrison doesn't win it? And it's because The Miz had come down to try and help, but The Miz costs him, and Morrison turns on Miz then. So Morrison doesn't win the briefcase, but we do get a split between Miz and Morrison. And actually, we were talking about tag teams that could potentially split. That might be my favourite split out of all of them. If two people could split, then ideally it would be Vince and Linda, so I could steal her away. If it's not going to be Vince and Linda, then I hope that it's going to be Miz and Morrison. So I don't want him winning the briefcase. I think there's better options, and also I think that if they did the split first and then he won the briefcase, I might be a bit more excited, to be honest. But I need to know that he's away from the Miz. Like the hey hey ho ho, Miz TV, the corny lines, drip drip, the drip sticks, all of that stuff. I hate it. It's not for me. I don't find it entertaining. I glaze over whenever they're on. I think their segments are just death. They're just awful segments. The show goes there to die. So I think we need to split them. And yeah, I'd be down for that. But I wouldn't have him win the briefcase and then split them, because I'd find that underwhelming. And then even when they split, I'd still have a bit of a... I'm not sure about this. I think we could come up with like 20 better options than going that way. American Girl said, because either WWE Superstar wins or WWE Diva Superstar wins, I forgot to watch Money in the Bank. It's this weekend. Evan said, Days, Tamina is in. Yep, we touched on it, bud. Daniel said, I'm presuming someone has already asked, but what did you think about AEW hitting 1 million whilst clashing with the NBA finals, beating Raw in that demo? I think that AEW did very well. I think I didn't know they'd beaten Raw in that demo. I couldn't be more surprised. I'm just not surprised. I don't know how to word that. I'm not surprised, because Raw is aiming at a younger demo. I've been saying this for weeks and weeks and weeks. If we weren't doing the watch-alongs, if it weren't that we streamed and it was what we do, and it was just me sat at home on my own, I would have stopped watching Raw a long time ago. About a month or so ago, I would have stopped watching. And what I would have done is I just would have checked in with the results just to see, was there any matches or anything significant that I feel that I've missed out on. But yeah, we've been watching because we do this and people watch it, and so it's just a case of watching. But for a long time now, I felt like nothing was going to change until we got crowds back. It's not like I've fallen out of love with wrestling or anything like this. It's just more of a case of, for a long time now, I felt nothing's going to change until the fans come back, which is why this weekend is so important. So I think that with the Miz TV, the drip drip stuff, the Lily doll, the Matt Riddle being a bit wacky. I mean, Riddle's fun. I don't mind Riddle at all. But some of the stuff can be, again, some of the dialogue can be a bit young. I kind of feel like they're PG, but they're aiming at being PG as well. You can actually be PG, but still cater for quite a wide audience. But with WWE, it really, I've said it so many times, it feels like it's catering for the youngsters. It feels like it's really going after that younger demo. So if you're telling me that AEW has beaten Raw in the 18 to 40 demo, get it. I totally get it. Maybe it's happened earlier than I would have thought, but totally get it. 1 million is a very, very good number for them. Very, very good number. So, yeah, I think it was good. I was just saying as well, I didn't... there wasn't really anything advertised or any reason as to why they should get that outside of Aleister Black. So it'd be interesting to know if he is the one that's kind of moved the dial a bit for them. It's a massive name. Do you know what I mean? He's a big name that people wanted to see WWE use more. So it wouldn't surprise me if he has, you know, had a significant impact. Obviously, we don't know how long that's going to last for. I've not been the biggest fan of his booking so far. And I'll be interested to see if it's obviously sustainable or what they can do going forward. Obviously, next week they've got Fyter Fest Night 2. So that should bring in another decent number as well. Yeah, man. I mean, look, they're in a good place. To get over 1 million on a Wednesday night is very, very good. Obviously, they're doing it unopposed now without WWE competing with them. So I think around 1 million is what they would have been hoping for anyway. But as you said, it was up against NBA finals as well. So it's good. However you want to carve it up, it's very, very good. And I thought the show was good as well. I think we gave it like 8 out of 10. So I think good rating, good show. They're in a good place. Just see if they can maintain it. Gaming in Real Time said, is SmackDown in front of a crowd this week? It is. It is. It is. It is. Do you think NXT will get full capacity compared to what they used to? Whilst the Cross and Joe storyline happening would make it 10 times better in front of a full crowd. I think that they probably need to go back to Full Sail, to be honest. I don't mind the Capitol Wrestling Center. I was definitely into it more than the Black Void they were wrestling in for a long time at Full Sail. At Full Sail, they just had all the lights off. It was just this black void, had no atmosphere. It was pretty rubbish. So I think when they got the Capitol Wrestling Center, I thought that was definitely a step in the right direction. But you are right, it's probably lacking a few people. There's just a couple of little tweaky things that bug me about it as well. Like, it's got the chain link fence up on the plexiglass, but it's not attached at the bottom. So whenever someone gets thrown into it, it kind of... You can see it's clearly just there for show, the chain link fence on the plexiglass. I wish it was more secure, and I wish that the ringside area wasn't as clean. Like, they could still have their crash mats, and they can still have the padding on the barricade, but I kind of feel like it needs graffiti, or it needs messing up a little bit, or... Do you know what I mean? Like... They're kind of going for a bit of a dingy kind of a vibe, a dangerous kind of an area. But again, as well, they're going for this kind of dangerous vibe in the Capitol Wrestling Center. They've got the chain link fence on the plexiglass. So from a kayfabe point of view, it's to kind of keep the fans back or keep the competitors away. And then as soon as you go around the other side, there's this massive part that's completely missing. There's this massive part that doesn't have chain link fence, doesn't have plexiglass. You can just see that they've put it up in areas literally just for the aesthetics, just for show. And I kind of look at that and it just makes me go, ugh. Do you know what I mean? I feel like you could do something really cool with NXT. And I feel like they took a big step in that direction. It was massive improvement as to where they were. But there's just a lot of stuff there that's for show. The chain link's loose. It's literally just for show. It doesn't go all the way around. The ringside area is very clean. The mats are just the boring grey colour. The barricade's just a boring grey colour. I kind of feel like you could really mess it up. You could really do some stuff. Bit of graffiti. You could have the ring steps be a bit rusty or make them look rusty if you don't want them to be actually rusty. I kind of feel like, you know what I mean? If you're going to mess it up and make it be like a fight pit, a dangerous kind of area or something that, you need that chain link fence, then go for it. If you're going to go for it, go for it. But it's kind of this halfway house at the moment, and for me, that's where it struggles. So, and also one of the things is it's not got enough people in it. I think they did put in or increase the seating, didn't they, and make it a bit bigger. But I would love to know the capacity of the Capitol Wrestling Center compared to Full Sail, because it might work out to be very similar. I got a feeling it isn't. I got a feeling that Full Sail definitely fits more people in. But yeah, good question. I agree. I think they need to go back to being in front of a few more people. I don't mind them staying at the Capitol Wrestling Center, but I would definitely tweak a few things. Or they could just go back to Full Sail. Full Sail was pretty standard, pretty normal, Maybe a bit unspectacular now compared to what we're seeing from AEW. Do you know what I mean? AEW have very much established themselves as being major league, and I think you're starting to see that in their numbers now. Red hot crowd, sold out arena. Their show was brilliant this week. Really, really enjoyed it. Right, I do need to do these. I desperately need to do these predictions, because it'd be a bit wild if we did a Money in the Bank prediction stream and then didn't actually predict anything. Big boy Dally, shout out to you. Appreciate the support. I do just want to get, for 8 minutes, I'll do you this deal. 8 more minutes, or we'll read out comments. As soon as we get to the hour mark, then we'll go to the predictions. So 8 more minutes of reading out people's thoughts, and then we'll go to the predictions. Harley said, did you hear the reports saying we could see Becky on our TVs by the end of the week? Becky is scheduled to be at Money in the Bank. Not sure if she will appear at the show. I think that she will. I agree. I think she will as well. I think, to me, there's just something about Becky being at Money in the Bank that feels like that's where they're going to bring her back. Big show. She's arguably their biggest female talent. Been away for a while. We know she's in red hot shape. We know that she's literally on the verge of coming back. I think it's just a case of, do they bring her back on SmackDown, Money in the Bank, or Raw? Which of those 3 shows does she come back on? And I'm adamant we see her this weekend. So I think Money in the Bank would make sense. I'm not expecting Cena, obviously, this weekend. I'm not expecting Brock. Sasha, you could bring Sasha back, but I suppose with Bayley being out, they would want to get Sasha back as quick as. You could maybe bring Sasha back on Friday, Becky back on Money in the Bank, and then the Goldberg rumours for Monday. That might be it. And then there might be a little swerve in there, a little turn or something in there. Morrison turns on Miz. You might get that as well. I could see that being this weekend. That with the great Money in the Bank show that, we all know and love, and the fact that, crowds are back as well. Just everything about the crowd's going to be interesting. Do you know what I mean? Like, how passionate are they going to be? How vocal are they going to be? We saw a great crowd from AEW. Is the WWE crowd going to be the same? Are they going to provide that same energy? Can WWE give them a show to provide that energy? It's going to be very interesting. Days, when do you think The Fiend comes back, and who do you think he'll face first, says Harry? Well, I think The Fiend has got to be on the verge of coming back. Maybe he's one for next weekend. I think that he could come back this weekend, of course, but I don't know. I just sort of think you don't want too many surprises at once. It's just better to space them out, isn't it? And like, Bray's been away for so long. If he has to be away for one more weekend, it's not going to be the end of the world. I've told you what I would do. I would have him go after Goldberg on Monday. I would absolutely do that. I don't know that he will. I think what you might be able to do is do a few Funhouse episodes first and see how the dust settles. I'd be interested to see if someone called him out. Like, Bray could do like a Funhouse episode and someone could take offense to it. I think for his first match back at SummerSlam, you don't necessarily need a massive name. You could just get away with it being someone that's just getting upset with Bray. Just to ease him back in. Just to give him a nice win, ease him back in, do a few Funhouse episodes. Nothing too heavy storyline-wise. You could do someone like Elias, someone like that. And then you could just ease him back in. And then as we build towards like Survivor Series and all that, then you can start putting him in bigger feuds. But I don't know that I'd bring him back and drop him into like a story straight away. I did say earlier, what if he doesn't come back alone? That could also be interesting. That could also be very, very interesting. That could be interesting. He doesn't wrestle much, does he? In all fairness. So he could actually send minions off to have matches, and he could be like this dark overlord. Could vibe with that. We know that Vince was going to give him a couple of people. Apparently Mike Bennett was going to be Sister Abigail and Eric Young was going to be Mercy. So I've said for a long time, who are the puppeteers? Who are the puppeteers? He's not in there. Well, I didn't think he was in there on his own. But of course, now that we know that he's got superpowers, he could just be controlling the puppets and there might not be puppeteers. But I did say at the start, who are the puppeteers? Because I felt that there could have been a new Wyatt family. Because whoever was controlling them are obviously in on this as well. So I think there's definitely things that you can do, directions that you can go. How long we got? We've got 3 minutes till we're going to go to these predictions. Who should win Money in the Bank? We'll do that in a sec, but we're going to get to them predictions in about 3 minutes. Jack says, how would you react if Vince came out on live TV this Friday and announced a more adult-orientated, fan-driven era? I would be excited. I would also be a little confused because I'm not sure that's something that needs to be announced. I think it's something you can just do. And people will catch on. Things have changed very quickly. All you've got to do is just start putting out really good shows that are a little bit Raw in particular. SmackDown's okay. It does go a little bit young at times, but Raw definitely is just focused. I mean, look at like the Nikki character as well. Nikki, almost a superhero. I've said during Raw, it's very John Cena, never give up. You know, it's very much that. So I kind of feel that she's got this really positive message that, she's spreading, which is amazing. It's her idea to have this character, so it's not like she's doing so much she hates. She's really going for it as well. Her social media is great, retweeting a lot of like fan art and stuff. So I really like what Nikki's doing, but there's no denying that it's aimed at a younger audience. So I kind of think like if you was to start to, make things a little bit older and make the show cater to an older age, people would very quickly catch on that something's changed. So I don't know that he needs to announce it. He just needs to do it. Actions speak louder than words. So I'd be very excited. I think it's I think it's the change that people want. I think a lot of people out there that have been watching since they were kids are hoping that it will go back to being a little bit Attitude Era-esque. Not in, like, dancing girls, bra and panty matches, all that kind of stuff, but just a little bit more of an attitude, a bit more of an edge. That's what people want. They want, you know what I mean? Stone Cold coming down, not caring, sticking up the middle finger, drinking beers in the ring. Like, you're just not going to get that right now. I can't imagine someone drinking a beer in a ring. I just can't imagine it. Like, now it would be like a Coke, a soft drink. That's what they would drink now. Like, it just hits different, doesn't it, at the moment? Naomi is the female version of Kofi Kingston and Ricochet, says Ant. Days, what about John Morrison makes his entrance for the ladder match? Miz comes from behind and attacks him, fakes the injury. Morrison spot, and then we build to Miz Morrison. Yeah, I'd be down for that. Be down for Miz versus Morrison. More serious feud, I'd be down for that. I just realised why they want Rock for Survivor Series. It would be the 25th anniversary that he debuted. Is that right? It is. I saw a poster, actually, a fan-made poster, which I saw first and got very excited about. It had The Rock. What was he doing? I think it was The Rock standing in, like, his Attitude Era kind of post-Attitude Era pose, like looking out and how great he was. But the shadow you could clearly see was Rocky Maivia, who had, like, the tassels and the curly hair, and when he debuted at Survivor Series. and the graphic at the side said Survivor Series 25 years of The Rock. So that looked amazing, that fan art. So they should definitely look to lean on that. You are right, Harley. Yeah, they should definitely look to lean on that. So maybe if The Rock comes back for that, that would then set up WrestleMania nicely if that's possible. Wrestle with Andy said, do you think Roman could go on a run with the belt for years like Bruno did? I think it's a different world, of course. I think you can get away with long title reigns, but the feuds have got to be fantastic. The storytelling has got to be bang on to ensure that people don't get bored. Roman's coming up to a year into his title reign. I think it's like 300 days or something. He's all right at the moment, but I think him and Edge right now is good. I think we need the fans back. I think they probably need to do some interesting stuff. I'd love to see Roman go round and trash Edge's house, or Beth Phoenix to somehow get involved, or I reckon there's some stuff you could do. I think Beth got involved with the Orton storyline, didn't she? Didn't she get RKO'd? So, I don't know. I feel like there's things you can definitely do rather than it just being in-ring beating up Usos or something. You know what I mean? I think there's more you can do. I think fans would want a bit more, but I think you could get by with a couple of years. I can't see anyone having a 7-year title reign like Bruno anymore. I struggle to see that. But technically you could say that, NXT UK of Volta's 600 days, is he, or something? He's coming up to... Didn't someone say he's how long is his reign now? Is it 800 days now? He might be at 800 days. So, Volta's... But a lot of that time was pandemic. A lot of that time, NXT UK wasn't on. So, it's not like Volta's, on the show every week either. NXT UK is different to SmackDown. We see Roman all the time. If we was to see Roman less, you might be able to get away with 3 years or something. Even that's going to be a challenge. But, I mean, Volta's coming up to 800 days, which is over 2 years. So I kind of feel like it could be possible to get around that ballpark, but I can't. 7. I don't know how you would do 7 in this day and age. It'd be very difficult. I mean, that's why it's such a legendary title run. But it was a different world. I mean, they only did shows, was it Madison Square Garden once a month? I think they were doing weekly shows, but a lot were just house shows. But when they were at Madison Square Garden, I think they did once a month at the Garden. And, Bruno would obviously face someone different each month. So it's kind of let's go down the Garden. Is this the month that he loses the belt? Or I don't fancy it. He's going up against such and such. Do you know what I mean? I kind of think that it's just a different world. You see Roman way too much compared to how much people saw Bruno back in the day. So, yeah. Right, we need to do these predictions, don't we? Because we said that we'd do it once we got to the hour, and we're at the hour. So, let's go down the matches. There's only 6 matches. We'll do the non-Money in the Bank matches first, and then we'll move on to the Money in the Bank matches and have a look at a few different angles. So we've got AJ Styles and Omos taking on the Viking Raiders. So AJ Styles and Omos versus the Viking Raiders. This is for the Raw Tag Team Championships. I think it's too soon to take the belts off AJ and Omos. They won them, was it WrestleMania? They've not really had many feuds. I kind of think that we're all waiting for Omos to turn on AJ. They haven't even planted the seeds for that yet. I suppose they could lose the titles, try to win them back. The frustration could grow from there. Blah, 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 blah. But I think that AJ, Omos retain. And I could see these two being together for the rest of the year. I think AJ brings some much needed star power to the tag division. And if you was to take AJ and Omos out, then we've got a real problem with tag teams. AJ and Omos are, a good team. They're not a good team to watch. It's not like watching the Hart Foundation. But they're a good team in the sense of Omos is an attraction. And if you're a casual fan, you're going to be like, whoa, who is that guy? And then AJ's just one of the best wrestlers they've got. So that's what I mean in regards to them being a good team. They've got something about them. They've got the attraction. They've got the ability. They definitely help the tag division. If you split them, then tag division... couldn't even tell you the tag teams on Raw. I couldn't even tell you them. I just don't know. The tag division's just in an awful place. Awful place. So I kind of look at all that and I think, would be good to have AJ going off as a solo star. But I think his next feud is probably with Omos anyway. So as a result, I think they're going to retain for now. I think they'll probably keep the belts maybe till SummerSlam, maybe end of the year Survivor Series. I can see them being a tag team up until Survivor Series, year end. Then they'll probably start looking at what do we do. I mean, if you used to say to me next year's WrestleMania is Omos versus AJ, I wouldn't be surprised. I'd be like, that makes sense. Might not be the match that people want, but makes sense. You know, Omos, he's still really green though. When he gets into the ring, like, he's not doing like crazy stuff. He's just like, it's real basic stuff. So I don't know. We'll have to see how that goes. But I'm saying AJ and Omos, and I think these two will stay as a tag team for a little while longer. Next match, I'm just going to do them in the order that they are on Wikipedia. Next match, we've got Roman Reigns versus Edge. This is pretty straightforward one for me. I think Roman wins this. So obviously people reporting that it's going to be Roman and Cena at SummerSlam, which I'm guessing is for the title. So if it is going to be Roman and Cena, John going for that championship, that record that Ric Flair has got. I think, isn't he like one away from beating Ric Flair's record? He's just got to win the title once. People have said as well that Cena might be coming back as a heel. So my only concern is if he is coming back as a heel and Roman's a heel, how do you do that match? Unless it's going to be Edge versus Cena versus Roman. But I don't think it's going to be that. I think Edge and Seth are on a collision course. So I think it'll be Edge and Seth at Survivor Series, SummerSlam. And then I'm guessing Cena and Roman. But Cena can't be a heel if he's facing Roman. And you certainly can't turn Roman. So unless we're going to just shove Daniel Bryan in there. I'm not sure what they're going to do with that match. So an interesting one. But either way, right now I'm saying Roman is going to retain against Edge. Next up, we've got Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair. I feel like this is going to be Rhea Ripley retaining. Charlotte has had multiple title reigns. I think people are a bit fed up with her as champion. Rhea Ripley, her title reign has been a bit confusing. Don't know if she's a face. Don't know if she's a heel. She's not really doing anything to make me care about her. As a result of all of that, she's just sort of there. And it's not been a great success. I feel like with Bianca, even though Bianca's reign's not set the world on fire, it's had better moments. I know where I stand with Bianca. Even though her feud with Bayley was based on laughing, and it was a bit underwhelming, they still had a decent Hell in a Cell match. And I kind of feel that, you know, they're in a decent spot with Bianca, better spot than they are with Rhea. So I think keep the title on Rhea. We'll build to some bigger opponents. And as we said, you know, what with Becky coming back and Sasha and rumours of a draft coming up later on this year, you can easily get some new opponents. I'd love to see Naomi take on Rhea. As I said, I'd love to see Naomi take on Rhea. And also, don't forget the threat of someone cashing in. Someone could always cash in on Rhea. So someone could cash in and she could lose the title that way rather than losing it to Charlotte. Or Charlotte wins and then someone cashes in. The only problem with that is that we are really pushing up Charlotte's world title reigns. So I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't put another world title reign on Charlotte, even if it was for 5 minutes. Like, I wouldn't do it. I'd keep the title on Rhea. Someone might tease cashing in, but it all depends when the Money in the Bank matches have happened. It's probably a good chance we start with the women's and end with the men's. It's probably a good chance of that. So, Yeah, I'm going Rhea, I'm going Roman, I'm going AJ and Omos. Next up, we've got Bobby versus Kofi. I'm going with Bobby. I don't think that it's the time for Kofi, and as people have been saying, rumours are that Bobby and Goldberg will face at SummerSlam. So if that is the case and they are facing at SummerSlam, that would surely mean that Bobby's going to retain. I've got a lot of champs retaining here. Got a lot of champs retaining. Plus, can I just say, I love this new Bobby. Bobby that was on Raw is amazing. Bobby that was on Raw that's like trashing the place and saying he doesn't want the girls around anymore. Like, that's amazing. Definitely down for seeing more of Bobby. Definitely down for seeing more of that Bobby. The girl stuff was really boring, man. I kind of felt that they were holding him back, and it was a bit... I didn't mind it at first, but like week after week after week after week after week, like you see him with these women, and you know his booking hadn't been brilliant. I love the fact he freaked out and was like, "That's it, I'm not doing that anymore." Thought it was great. I really enjoyed that segment. So I've got Bobby. Then we come to the women's Money in the Bank. The women's Money in the Bank. We've got Asuka versus Naomi versus Alexa Bliss versus Nikki A.S.H, which I don't like that name. Why is it not just Super Nikki? Why could they not get Super Nikki? Why is it Nikki A.S.H? That has got to be some kind of copyright reason. There's got to be a reason as to why they couldn't do Super Nikki. So Nikki A.S.H versus Liv Morgan versus Zelina Vega versus Natalya versus Tamina. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people in. Getting your thoughts as to who you want to see win it, who you think is going to win it. Who do you want winning the Money in the Bank ladder match for the Women's Championship match contract? Asuka. I'm going to go through each one and give you my quick thoughts, right? Asuka doesn't need it. She won it last year. She's just had a title reign. They didn't do anything creative with her. Why would you put the Money in the Bank on her now unless you're going to give her a big push? She definitely deserves that. I think she's one of the best female wrestlers they've got. But I think that people are probably a little burnt out with Asuka. I think Asuka had the belt, didn't do anything with it. I think it's time for someone else. So, no to Asuka. Naomi, she is someone that... She would be my pick. She's the person that I'm hoping wins. So, when it comes to who I want it to be Naomi. She might not be the new name that people want. She might have been around for a long time. I mean, she was on like season 1 of Total Divas. She was a Funkasaurus with Brodus Clay. Like, she's been around a long time. But she's not had that many opportunities. And she's trended on Twitter. Give Naomi a chance. Her glow gimmick, I think, works really well. She's got a great connection with kids. She can wrestle. I think you can do some stuff. They've just never given her like a really good storyline to get her teeth into. Like, whenever she's been a champ before, it's always just been really generic, really bland, really boring feuds. Like, nothing as interesting as what Roman's doing right now. And I kind of feel like, you know, your women's champ should be treated as well as your male champ. So I just think Naomi for me, but give her something really creative to get her teeth into. I'd be down for, like, Naomi and Bianca, man. Could you imagine if Naomi won and she cashed in on Bianca? Like, I know that Naomi is on Raw, but I still think Naomi Bianca would be a hell of a match. And there's nothing stopping, you know, people. We've seen people cash in on other brands before. So, I don't mind that. I mean, Naomi Rhea would be fine as well. I'm down for that. It's obviously not going to be much of a match, is it? They're always going to cash in at the opportune moment. So I like Naomi. She'd be the person that I think deserves a good, well-booked title reign. So that's who I want. I don't think she wins. Alexa Bliss, not for me. She's a decent wrestler. I think she's had injury problems, hasn't she? Like concussion problems. And I think she's not been wrestling that much. We've definitely seen more of her wrestle now. But I think a lot of that smoke and mirrors might have been because they had to protect her. I think the playground and moment of bliss and all that kind of stuff is them sort of protecting her from not wrestling as much, because I think she's had concussion issues, and I think that she's had like slight injury problems as a result, and maybe not even been cleared to wrestle at times. So she is someone that I think it's hard to know where she is now. Can she put consistent matches together? Could she be a champion and put a run of matches together? What are they doing with her kind of supernatural powers? Has Lily gone? Lily was put in timeout. I mean, I must admit, right, they did that Lily thing of Lily in the mirror with Shayna. The backlash that I saw to that was immense. Even like fans of that sort of stuff were saying it didn't even look good. It was like kids horror, which makes sense on Raw. So it was like kid horror, but no surprise that after that, like Lily goes into timeout and hasn't been seen since. So they do still use Lily on like the entrance graphic when Alexa comes out, but I do wonder if they caught on to the backlash. I do wonder if they saw how people just did not appreciate it at all. She's gone now. Hopefully she's gone now. And then I like Alexa. I think Alexa can do some stuff in the ring, and I think she's a good wrestler. I wouldn't have her win Money in the Bank, though. I just think, like, we need to find out if she's back and she's wrestling and get a few things like that sorted first, rather than giving her a contract for her to cash in and then be the women's champ. So I wouldn't go that way. Nikki, A.S.H. I don't mind if she wins. I think that, this believing in yourself kind of thing, you could play on that, and you could get a decent story out of that. So I don't mind if she wins, but I'm not sure she will. The person that I think will win is Liv. I think Liv wins. That's my prediction. I think Liv wins. I think Liv hasn't had many opportunities. I think she's only just recently become a solo star, what with Ruby being released. She's been in Riot Squad for most of her time. She has done some singles matches. Matches are always all right. I've never seen an amazing Liv Morgan match. I've seen a couple of good ones. I've never seen an amazing one. I kind of feel like she's got potential. She's definitely got a fan base. And I think that if you was probably to ask people, if you used to do a poll on Twitter with these 6 names, which I don't think you'd be able to do, because I think you can only have 4 options, but I don't know, maybe you leave out Tamina. I think you'd be safe if you left Tamina out. And left out Natalya, maybe. So maybe if you say, right, do you want Asuka, Naomi, Alexa? Oh, you've got to leave out a few, haven't you, really? Well, anyway, put in the top 4 and do a poll. And I would imagine Liv would probably come out top. It'd be Liv or it'd be Alexa. One of them two. But I think it'd be Liv. I think Liv would come out top for the person that most people would want to see win. So I think that WWE are probably picking up on that. And I think that, there's got to be a reason why Sarah Logan was released, Ruby Riott was released, but Liv Morgan wasn't. So I think WWE might be aware. So I think they go Liv. I personally want it to be Naomi. Who else have we got in? We've got Zelina Vega. I don't mind if it's her, but she's kind of come back out of nowhere. They haven't done a good job of building her up and make her feel important. When she came out, I popped. I thought it was a great return, but commentators just poured cold water on it. Didn't seem that excited. She lost her first match the night she came back. Other than money, I have no idea why she re-signed, to be honest. I think WWE just consistently show that if you're not someone that they're really that interested in, it's going to be just enjoy catering, basically. And I think Zelina Vega might find herself in catering quite quick. I hope not. I really like her. I really like Zelina Vega. But coming back after being released to no fanfare, yes, she was put straight into Money in the Bank, but I think she was done that more for Liv, to make Liv angry, and make it seem like Liv's being screwed over all the time. Make it seem like, it's just not fair to Liv. And that's why I think Liv's going to win it, because I think the story so far is heavily revolved around Liv Morgan. But I do feel sorry for Zelina Vega. And then you got Natalya and Tamina, who I swear are just there to make up numbers. I love Natalya. I'll never have a problem with her winning the Women's Championship. I think she is one of the absolute most underrated superstars in WWE history. If you want to talk most underrated in WWE history, Natalya. I think she is part of the Hart family. I think they could have played on that more over the years. They did. They have at times, and obviously, you know, they've had Brett at ringside and done stuff like that. But I kind of feel like, you know, you could have had a female Hart Foundation with Natalya as a leader, and you could have done something like along those lines. I kind of think that she's been around a long time. She's had great matches. She's someone that they look to when someone first comes up from NXT to give the new recruit a great match. She's trusted. She's a lovely person. She'll definitely be a trainer once she retires. I could see her doing a lot of training work in NXT. It's what her husband does, TJ and Tyson Kidd. And I could see her doing the same. So I really rate Natalya. If Natalya wins this, no complaints from me. Yes, there was better options, but I just think she's one of the most underrated wrestlers in WWE history. I think she's fantastic. There's not many wrestlers you can say that will go on to be trainers for WWE after they retire, but she is one. I do wonder if Cesaro might be one as well, actually, but that's a different conversation. And then Tamina, I mean, that had no fanfare, did it? That had no fanfare whatsoever. Tamina getting chucked in today to that match. So, it is what it is. She won't win it. And we move on. Right, men's match. Getting your thoughts for the men's match now. So, we'll do exactly the same thing. We'll go down each of the wrestlers, share our thoughts on them. I'll tell you the person I want. I'll tell you the person that I think wins as well. So, first of all, we got Ricochet. I don't mind Ricochet winning it, but he's got no momentum. I think Ricochet is maybe a notch up from being a jobber. I think that he is someone that was in a bit of a feud with Sheamus for the United States Championship, and I don't know what happened with that, to be honest. He just kind of left that picture. Now he's in Money in the Bank. He's teamed with Cedric Alexander, he's feuded with Mustafa Ali. He's really bobbed around the bottom of the card. I think he's in there because he's a high flyer and he's going to provide some real eye-catching moments. Outside of that, I don't see why he's there. I don't think he's going to provide anything that significant. So, Ricochet, I like him. I don't mind him winning. I can't say he's the person that I want because he is... he's got no momentum. He's got no... I don't really feel much affection towards him at the moment. I wish he was Prince Puma. Prince Puma in Lucha Underground was fantastic, engaging, real red-hot babyface. And they could do that with Ricochet, but Vince just doesn't seem to care that much for, like, Lucha wrestling. Doesn't seem to appreciate it. And I think, you know, Ricochet's just a victim of that. He's just seen as being quite small. Does a lot of aerial flips and not really main event talent. So I would be amazed if he gets the win in this, to be honest. I don't see it. I do like him, though. As I said, I wish he was Prince Puma. John Morrison. Struggle with him. I like John Morrison. I think he left WWE, went around and was a big success in Lucha Underground, Impact, you know, went to all the different promotions. Very popular. Has come back and has just done awful segments with The Miz. I mean, I couldn't be less excited about him if I tried. I hope he does split from The Miz because I think you could do something with John Morrison. I think John Morrison could be an interesting guy. He's a great wrestler, can put on great matches. He's someone that I wouldn't mind seeing have a mid-card title run. But right now I'm just very cold towards John Morrison. So I don't think it'll be him. I don't want it to be him. That's my thoughts on John Morrison. I like the idea of him and Miz splitting, though. I love that idea. Next, Riddle. Now, if you was to ask people who do you want to win this, I think Riddle might come out top. I think what they've done with Riddle with RK Bro has been fantastic. I think Riddle, his dialogue can be aimed at kids. I think it's just so wacky and out there and fun, though, that even adults have a little smile on their face during those segments. So I think that he sort of works to all ages. I think they can still tweak it a little bit to make it a little bit better for an older audience. Because sometimes he just mumbles on, and it's all right. Sometimes it can be a bit hit and miss with him sometimes in his promos. But, you know, the key thing I think was kind of fun for like a week or two. And as I said, you know, he's done some decent stuff. But as I said, sometimes it can be a little bit aimed a bit too young. But he's popular at the moment. I can see him being a success. He's really good in ring. He's got good, decent promo skills. He's got a little interesting character. I think, you know, if he was to get brutally attacked by Orton, like, he would get a lot of sympathy. And I think, you know, you're kind of building him to the point where if something terribly wrong happens to Riddle and he's cheated, people are going to feel really upset. They're going to feel hurt. They're going to be on his side. So they've definitely built something in Riddle. They've definitely got something in Riddle. I also think Riddle, with the briefcase, would look interesting as well. Riddle with the briefcase coming down. You know, like how we had Brock Party. I mean, can you imagine the kind of stuff that Riddle would put inside the briefcase? Can you imagine the humour that would come from that? I actually think that the person that people want the most might be Riddle. And I think the person that wins might be Riddle. I'm actually going to go with Riddle. Riddle is going to be my official prediction. So the person that I think people want would be Riddle. The person I think that wins it is Riddle. Don't forget, they went with Otis last year, who was very similar. Kind of that lovable character that had a real connection with the fans. The only problem was that connection disappeared over time, and like the Mandy and Otis thing didn't really work, and it just, you know, they had something and it's, you know, didn't work out. It's how it goes sometimes. But they put the briefcase on Otis, I think, under the impression that it was working. Riddle's exactly the same. Riddle is very similar to what Otis was like in regards to, you know, being that kind of comedy character that people love. So I could see them going again, this time with Riddle, though. Next, Drew McIntyre. Please, God, no. Please, God, no. Nowhere near this briefcase. So tired of Drew. The problem with Drew is he is main event talent. He's had a decent run, but he's just been involved in too many bad segments. That's the thing. If you put him in a boring match, a nothing match, a match that doesn't matter against someone, that segment to me is dead. I don't care, right? If there's no stipulation involved, if there's no like purpose to it, you know, say it's like, I don't know, Drew versus Cedric Alexander when Hurt Business were together, yeah. That to me is just to fill time. It's to kill time. That's why it's there. That match is just to kill time. Like, if Drew wins, he doesn't really get anything for it. If he loses, he doesn't get anything for it. Certainly, you could put a stipulation on that match whereby if Drew beats Cedric, then, you know, they can't be at ringside or something along those lines. You can do that. And I think they might have done that once, thinking about it. But there was a lot of those kind of segments, you know, Drew being in a tag team, in a nothing match, promos that just don't really go anywhere. They're not interesting. Drew in his promos at times, he can come across as a bit off. He can kind of come across as like a bit of a bad winner. Some of his promos, he can like, you know, he can be the champion when he was the champion, and he can be like running down all the competition, which I understand, like you would do, but I kind of think that it just didn't seem right for a babyface at times. I kind of felt that Drew at times was a bit unfocused. His character didn't really develop. His character was just kind of smug. Came across as smug at times in his promos. So I think some of his promos were off. I think he's been involved in a lot of filler matches. I think this feud with Bobby has gone on for quite a while. I'm just bored of him. I'm just bored. I mean, he hasn't... I don't want to say he hasn't got a personality, because he has, and he can cut some great promos. But honestly, one of the most interesting things about him is his sword. That's it. That's one of the most interesting things about Drew, is his sword. And to the point where Jinder's stole his sword and broken his sword. And then it turns out it wasn't his sword. It was a replica of the sword, and Drew still got the sword. Like, that is a segment that happened. And that was one of the more interesting segments that happened. And then he did proceed, actually, to beat up that bike and destroy that bike, which is kind of cool. And you can now buy a bike that you can destroy yourselves from Mattel that comes with a Drew figure. Of course you can. Of course you can. Of course Mattel are all over it. So, yeah, cut a long story short, I just don't want him anywhere near that briefcase. I don't want him anywhere near that title. I'm down for a feud between Jinder and Drew. But I hope they go back to 3MB and they play on, I'd love to know why Jinder's going after Drew. Give us something to get our teeth into. Give us something creative. Give us Heath Slater, if possible. But I don't think it's possible, because I think he's with Impact. But anyway, I don't want him for the briefcase. Next up, Big E. Love Big E. I think Big E might be the person that I would want. It's him or Riddle. Big E or Riddle. I don't mind either. The only problem with Big E is I don't think he's in a great place at the moment. You need a red-hot babyface. We were watching AEW, and they've got Hangman Page. They've got Sammy Guevara. They've got Jungle Boy. These are red-hot babyfaces. Red-hot babyfaces. WWE don't have that. I mean, we're looking at this list of names. It's like Ricochet, dead in the water. John Morrison, dead in the water. Drew McIntyre just lost a match where he can't challenge for the title again, and we don't want him to. Not dead in the water, but I don't want him anywhere near the title. Like, I'm going down this list, and there's just people I don't want anywhere near the title. We need red-hot babyfaces. Red-hot babyfaces. Where are they? I think Riddle might be the best we have in WWE right now. Where are the red-hot baby faces? You might be able to say like Edge, but I mean, Edge is just a legend, isn't he, that they've brought back, who's not been around since WrestleMania. So yes, he's a red hot baby face. Can he obviously sustain that? Can he? I don't even know how many matches he can wrestle. But where are the new ones anyway? Like, that's Edge, that's a legend. Where are the new ones? Where are the new red hot baby faces? So, Big E should be in that list. He should be in that conversation. I think the problem with Big E is he was meant to have that feud with Aleister Black, and then they let go of Aleister Black. So, Big E and Aleister Black were meant to be having this big feud, and that may have pushed Big E to the next level. I actually don't think Aleister Black would have been the right person to have done that. But, yeah, that's one of WWE's big problems. They've got to sort that out. We need to have baby faces that we care for and we want to see succeed. I feel that way about Big E, but he's just coming into this a little cold. Just a little cold. So, will they pull the trigger on him? If they do, then hopefully they build him up well with the briefcase. Because right now, just a little cold. Kevin Owens, people love Owens, but the problem is he's had an opportunity earlier this year and it's not worked out. He had an opportunity earlier this year and didn't succeed. So I don't see how you can now give him another opportunity. I think he fell short, to be honest. I think he had a real good shot at it. They had the match at Royal Rumble. He fell short. So I'm not really interested in him having the briefcase now. If he gets it, then it would be interesting. He's not the worst person to have it. It'd probably be my third pick. I'd probably say Riddle at 1, Big E at 2, and Kevin Owens at 3. So he's in the conversation, but he's just already had a shot this year. So I'd rather go with someone that hasn't, like Big E or Riddle. King Nakamura. He's all right. He's all right with Rick Boogs. They're kind of heels, though, aren't they? They're not baby faces. They're heels. So King Nakamura. I like Nakamura. Bit of character development there. need to get some promos going. I'd like to know a bit more about, this new King gimmick. How did he get with Boogs? Where's Boogs come from? I'd love to see some vignettes. They do some really good LA Knight, Cameron Grimes vignettes in NXT. I'd love to get some Rick Boogs, Shinsuke Nakamura ones on the main roster. Just again, I kind of feel like where WWE do a lot of shows in the arena, promos in the arena, maybe some stuff backstage, a lot of stuff in the ring, of course, the matches and more promos, maybe Miz TV, maybe Ding Dong Hello. They do everything in the arena. I'd love to get some stuff away from the arena. I'd love to do some vignettes where, as we said, Roman and Edge going around each other's houses, or, Boogs and Nakamura hanging out. What do they do when they go out? Go into a drive-through or whatever it might be. I think there's some stuff that you can do just to bring some character development, bring some different environments. I think that's missing. And actually, talking of different environments, apparently they're going to film a couple of matches at a music festival soon, which will be shown on SmackDown later this month. So, very excited for that. That is exactly the kind of thing they should be doing. Different environments, just to, freshen up the show so that you're not looking at the same arena and everything all the time. Don't need to do it every week. Just, a little something every month. Lovely. That would be great. Thank you. King Nakamura, not sure. Need a bit more character development there. And then Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins, to me, is not in a great place. I think his gimmick has not been brilliant for nearly 2 years. So I think that he is struggling. I don't really care about his segments as much as I used to. I think he's about to feud with Edge, so I don't think he's winning. I don't think he's going to get Money in the Bank. Unless, he is, and he's still going to feud with Edge at the same time. Seth isn't the worst option in the world, because Seth obviously had that fantastic cash-in. And thinking about it, Seth having the briefcase and Roman being the champion, I do love that dynamic. Seth cashed in on Roman before at WrestleMania 31. He cashed in during Roman and Brock. He could do it again. You've got a very interesting story there. You've got the whole history of the Shield and everything as well that you can lean on. I wouldn't be over the moon about it because I don't like Seth's character, but I think I'd be still very intrigued by it. I'd probably have Seth at number 4. I might even put him at 3, thinking about it. Maybe my top 3 is Riddle, Big E, Seth, and then Kevin Owens. That would be maybe my top 4. So, yeah, you could probably do something with Seth, but I personally wouldn't go that way. But, interesting. After Edge, Seth should turn face, says Scott. I can't believe Daze thinks Nakamura is a heel. I think he's a heel. I think he, didn't Rick Boogs jump in and start beating up as well? Who was they facing the other day? But he's obviously stole the crown. I think it was Austin that was saying that Nakamura had been a heel in that feud with Corbin. I wasn't quite buying it because Corbin's always been a heel, and I don't really care. If you're going to steal the crown from a heel, I don't really care. But I don't know, since it's followed, past few weeks, I sort of agree a bit more now that he's a heel. So, I'm kind of with the fact that Nakamura's a heel. Why aren't there NXT stars? Days, your memory has gone blank. My memory's gone blank as to who he faced on Friday, yes. Why aren't there NXT stars in Money in the Bank? Well, they only tend to have 8 people in, and they just take 4 from Raw and 4 from SmackDown. Plus also, NXT has its own pay-per-views with TakeOver, so they don't tend to get involved with all of the pay-per-views. They tend to lean on them for a Rumble to fill out some of the slots. That's it, though. You don't even really see them at WrestleMania or SummerSlam. Sometimes Survivor Series, but past couple of years, it's only been Raw versus SmackDown. Almighty Supreme says Drew feels like a history teacher with his promos. Yeah, he can. Yeah, oh my God, you're right. The one, what was he going on about? Banging on about something, wasn't he? The Alamo? He was talking about the Alamo? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Awful. Harry said, I think that Seth will win the men's Money in the Bank contract and then cash it in on Roman versus Edge match. Could be. Alexa Bliss Gamer said, I want and I predict that Alexa Bliss is going to win, says Alexa Bliss Gamer 0809. Austin said, didn't they face Corbin on Friday? Wasn't it a Money in the Bank qualifier? Yeah, I think you're right, actually. I think you are right. I think it was. Let me just... Oh, hello. Literally just gone on to Twitter and there was a story about Goldberg. Tamina, Goldberg. Ringside News says Goldberg returning next week. So 3 hours ago, WWE is getting back on the road. They need big names. Company has got several part-timers that they can lean on. Goldberg is coming back. He'll go after Bobby Lashley's title. According to a report from Fightful, Goldberg is on his way back to WWE. Those were the plans as of Thursday afternoon. Looks like he'll face Lashley. Goldberg is contracted for 2 matches a year. He competed at the Royal Rumble, so his second match will likely be at SummerSlam. We have to wait and see if that means that Goldberg will be champion after the August 23rd. I hope not. Oh, well, there we go. That was 3 hours ago on Fightful. As we said, people in the chat have already spoke about it. Yeah, there's people saying AEW continuously looking to make new stars like Ricky Starks, Sammy Guevara, Ethan Page, Darby Allin. WWE brings back Goldberg. Yeah. Days, what is your opinion of Amal, the French woman? I haven't seen, but I am French and I love seeing her wrestle. Haven't seen. I haven't watched NXT UK for a little while. I tend to only keep an eye on it for like the big main event matches, like Kaylee Ray versus Miko Satomura, or the Volta versus Dragunov match that's coming up. So yeah, I'll have to check her out. I think if she's there, she's in a brilliant place because I think they really focus on the wrestling. I think if you want a really good wrestling WWE promotion, NXT might arguably be the best. Because I think, NXT UK might be the best. Sorry, NXT has got a little bit of like indie Dexter story. The Way, Cameron Grimes, LA Knight. It's a little bit. It's gone a bit sports entertainment. NXT, but that makes sense because currently people are still going to NXT and then getting called up to Raw and SmackDown. So it sort of feels like since they've gone on to network TV, they've had to change a little bit. I must admit, I've said this so many times, I miss the 1 hour NXT show that we used to get on the WWE network. I miss that 1 hour NXT show because it was not on TV. They did a really good job of making each episode feel solid from start to finish. It was always can't miss, always just nicely pushed along storylines, never rushed anything. Like now you just get title matches all the time. Now it's on network TV. It's like, they've got to get your views. I don't think they cared about the views so much, to be honest. On why did they care? Because as long as you're subscribed, and you're probably subscribed for the pay-per-views anyway, NXT was just a little check out what we're doing down in NXT. And the storylines had time to breathe, and it had time. Everything's so rushed now. Everything's so quick. That's why I love the Roman story, because it's so slow. Like, the Roman story just settles everything down. It slows everything down. I like that. That's how NXT used to be. So I think NXT UK might now be like the best wrestling promotion in under the WWE umbrella. So yeah, if she's there, I think she's in a great place. She's going to do some brilliant learning. She's got some great talent around, and I'll try and check her out. Austin said, I really want Big E to win, but I feel like they're not going to push him as one of the favourites. He's in the conversation. I agree. He's probably not favourite to win it. I think Riddle has got to be up there. Maybe even Seth. Maybe Kevin Owens. But I think Big E's in the conversation. I think Big E might be the right person to have the briefcase. It's just that, as I said, he's just a little cold at the moment. But part of that is because he was meant to be in the middle of a feud right now. And obviously Aleister Black got released, so he can't be. So I think they just creatively haven't got anything for him. Or anything like significant. Wasn't he sat at ringside watching someone with Pat McAfee? I mean, that's where he is right now. That's the kind of stuff he's doing. So the only thing I would say is that if he was meant to be in a feud with Aleister, we don't know if the plan was for him to win Money in the Bank. It might be that he was going to feud with Aleister and someone else wins Money in the Bank. So I would agree. He doesn't go in as favourite, but I still think he's in the conversation. I don't think there's no chance. I think he's in the conversation. Jack said, what Days? Hang on. Brony says, Days, if Nakamura is a heel, then why do they pipe in fake cheers for him when he makes his entrance? I'd have to go back and listen to it, but they could be doing that for Rick Boogs. Boogs is over, but I think he stole Corbin's crown. He has been terrorizing Corbin as well. Boogs was backstage with Corbin and was like making fun of him. Like, Corbin was dejected and was down, and Boogs just came up to him and was like, wasn't he like talking, like throwing in like king words and all this, and it was all unprovoked. So you look at it and you kind of go, yeah, they are coming across like heels. They're certainly not striking. I mean, like, they are terrorizing Corbin. Corbin's a dejected man. And I'd have to have a look and see if Boogs, like, interfered at all or distracted at all. To see if that was... How did Nakamura win against Corbin? I'd have to go back and rewatch it. But, yeah, to me, he's coming across like a heel. Maybe you could argue that he's a tweener then. If they are piping in cheers, then maybe he's coming across as a tweener. But he's certainly not coming across as a babyface, an outright babyface. Because they're doing too much unprovoked stuff to Corbin. Doesn't make any sense. Did you forget Nakamura was a face before he got paired with Rick Boogs? Nope. No, because I watched the show. So no, I didn't forget. He was doing well, actually. I thought that he was going to get a nice little push like Cesaro, because they seemed to be teasing that Nakamura was now next in line for a bit of a, and maybe even a main event title push. But that didn't come along. And what he did get was Rick Boogs, who I thought was going to be like this really popular babyface. But as we said, he's doing some stuff now where it's like unprovoked, they're bullying Corbin. I think part of it might be just to get sympathy on Corbin. So this is what I'm saying. Maybe it's a tween thing. Maybe they're doing heel stuff, but it's not actually to turn them heel. It's they're not even thinking about Nakamura and Boogs. They're actually thinking, how do we get sympathy on Corbin? They just want sympathy on Corbin right now. Like, he's lost everything. But if that's the case, I wouldn't have had Boogs do it. Why have Rick Boogs be the one to go up to Corbin and completely unprovoked make fun of him backstage? Because that doesn't make Rick Boogs come across like a face. Why not get someone else to do it? Why not get a heel to do it? Why not have a bunch of heels backstage that could have said stuff as Corbin walked past? So I thought that was quite an interesting little segment. But there's just been a few little things like that's happened where, because don't forget they stole Corbin's crown as well. Like, it's difficult to look at this and go, he's an outright babyface. I don't believe he is. If you're telling me, and I hold my hands up, I have to have the sound turned down. If you're telling me that they cheer him and they put in like cheers as they come down to the ring, then I can only think they're looking at doing some sort of tweener thing, like in between a tweener thing. Because some of the decisions has been a bit strange. It's just a bit strange. I don't look at Nakamura as babyface at the moment. Not quite sure where I sit with him, but in my mind, I sort of agree with what Austin was saying. I think he's more heelish at the moment. He's gone power crazy, hasn't he? He stole a crown and he's gone power mad. Drew won't win because Jinder will screw him, says Michael. Harry said, Days, who do you think will be the winner of the men's Money in the Bank? Harry, we've literally just gone through it. We've just gone through every single person. We've said who we think's going to win, who we want to win. Do you keep running away or something? What's going on? What's happening? I've jotted down that I think that people want, and I think the person that will win will both be Riddle. So I've gone with Riddle on both. But I think that Big E's in the conversation. I think Seth's in the conversation. Owens might be in the conversation as well. But I'm looking at Otis winning last year, and I'm thinking they tried it with Otis last year, it didn't work. They could try it again with Riddle because I think he's very, very similar. I want to see how fans act with this new direction for Corbin. Are they going to have sympathy for him and boo the people that are picking on him, or what? I think a lot of the reactions going to be interesting. A lot of the reactions will. Brony said, Days, Austin has only said that because he's a Corbin stan. You know that. I disagree. I think I was looking at it, and at first I wasn't on board because I agree. Rick Boogs is fun, he's loud, he plays the guitar, he comes across as cool. You kind of look at it. Nakamura, as you said beforehand, was a face. So at first when, Austin was saying that, I was like, yeah, I'm not sure I agree. But then there was just them few like segments that have happened since that's made me go, why is Boogs doing that then? Why is Boogs going up and saying those kind of things? Why do they, repeatedly like have Boogs at ringside? And I'd have to look to see if he's distracted. I don't want to say that he has distracted, but something's telling me that he has. I've definitely watched it and gone, yeah, he doesn't sit me as a squeaky clean babyface anymore. We'll see. David said, what happens if everyone in the arena farts at the same time? That would be more gas than Jupiter has. Well, these are the big questions, David. I'm so pleased you're here to ask those kind of questions, because someone's got to. Someone's got to ask those kind of questions. What? What? Allegiant. Is that what it is? Allegiant. That is not the easiest name to try and read. If Nakamura turns heel, he would have had the shortest face run unless Orton turns on Riddle, says Allegiant. Chris says, I want Seth to win so that he can do what he did last year. Cash in on Roman and cash in on Roman again on Sunday, says Chris. David says, Riddle and Liv to win. Harley said, Days, do you know what Seth put Edge's head on 2014 and threatened to break his neck? It was a briefcase. Maybe they could recreate that if Seth wins Money in the Bank. Austin said, Big E and Pat were picking on Corbin on the outside during the match. James said, Days, can you download Pascal's Pizzeria Party Presidential? Not right now. Brony said, Days, it's just bad booking. Well, do you know what? I don't disagree with you there. If there's one thing we can agree on, we found it. Jack said, Days, would you like to see a WWE Mega Brawl in which everyone on the roster brawls it out, and the winner is the last man who didn't get pinned or tapped out. Yeah. I'd be down for that. Be something different and fresh. I'd be down for that. I did a video a few years ago where I was looking at like some new match types, and I actually created some graphics. And I've always wondered about what would it be like if you took the ring away? Keep the ringside area, fans, barricades, mats. Take the ring away, and you've got this big space with barricades all around, entrance ramp and everything. And you could potentially put weapons in there. There's loads you could do. And it's just kind of like, could you imagine if you did like a Royal Rumble or Battle Royal or a Mega Brawl, as you call it? I think I called it the Purge. Something like the Purge, whereby everyone's in there, and if you get pinned, you've got referees all around keeping an eye on the action. And if you get pinned or you submit or you tap out, then you're eliminated and you just whittle your way down. Something like that could be interesting. I'm sure we could do a whole stream on new match types. But yeah, I'd be down for that. Be interesting. Try, it might not work, who knows? Might be boring. Might be too much action and you're too much to focus on, but try it. That's what I like about AEW. They're definitely trying a lot of stuff. It's not all going to work. I don't know they're going to do another Mimosa match. But they tried it. We haven't seen WWE do that. I can't remember seeing WWE with vats of liquid and all of this. Stadium Stampede. Can't say I've seen WWE do it. So, trying stuff, why not? Planet Dan says, WWE see Nakamura as a face, but they're heels in our eyes. They want us to laugh at Corbin, but we feel sympathy for him because we know bullying is wrong. Bottom line is they just can't book faces. Well, maybe you're right. Maybe it goes back to what Brony was saying. It's just bad booking. Austin said, I think we can all agree that Ricochet and Morrison aren't winning the briefcase. Sarah said, days tomorrow. Do you know how many people will attend? I don't actually. No. I mean, my guess is that it would be sold out. Surely it would sell out. For so long without fans, where is the first one? The first one I think is at the Toyota Center. And then I think, let me have a look. Houston, Texas, Friday night coming to Toyota Center. Yeah, Houston Toyota Center. Let's have a look. Sold out. Let's see what comes up for that. SmackDown next week, nearly sold out. Dave Meltzer on Twitter said WWE in Houston on Friday is sold out. Hang on. At the Toyota Center. Right, so this is Dave Meltzer yesterday saying that the Toyota Center is sold out. So what can the Toyota Center in Houston hold? Because it's sold out apparently. It can hold 18,300. 18,300. Now, I don't know what that's set up for, in all honesty. So, I don't know what 18,300 is for. I don't know if that's like basketball or like whatever. I'm just looking. UFC 247 came from the Toyota Center. They managed to get 17,400. And that was last year. So, UFC 247 came from Toyota Center. 17,400. So, I think you'd probably be looking about the same number. About the same number. I think its capacity is 18, but maybe with the stage and seats that you have to rope off and whatever, maybe it goes down to 16 or something, but UFC was 17, so... I think we'll stick around like 5-10 minutes. We've done a couple of hours, but we'll stick around 5-10 minutes and get a few more. Days Boog has distracted when playing guitar before. Well, it's a debate that's going to rumble on, isn't it? Perhaps they're tweeners at the moment, but I can only tell you how I was seeing it at the time, so I'm quite happy to settle on bad booking. Ryan said, postponed match between Volta Dragunov. Yes, that has been postponed, yes. James said, Days, I think either Riddle or Seth winning. I fancy Riddle winning, but what would that mean for RK Bro? Well, I think they'd be all right. There might be a bit of jealousy. Could help speed things up with the split between them, but I kind of think they should be together for a little while. I think, Riddle could maybe get jealous if... Orton could maybe get jealous if Riddle wins the title. So, keep them together. You could have Riddle celebrating. Boom. That's when Randy turns. That's when the opportunist strikes. I like that. Andros says, when they sold out, do they mean full 100% capacity or reduced 75%? I think it's full. I think we're back to full capacities now, which is why they're back on the road. UFC's just done a full capacity arena. So I don't think there'd be any need for WWE to be operating at reduced. So I'm thinking full. I mean, Dave Meltzer said sold out. Certainly didn't mention any reduced capacity. Obviously, I don't know because I'm not in the US, so I can't say for sure. But I'd be feeling fairly confident that it would be... feeling very confident it'd be 100%. Days, WWE are portraying Nakamura and Boogs as faces, but are making them do heel stuff. It's bad booking. Let's end the debate there. Well, yeah, I agree, bad booking. I agree with you on bad booking. Ant says, Days, your thoughts on Jeff Hardy's bad booking? I think everyone's a victim of bad booking. I think Jeff Hardy bad booking... The problem with Jeff Hardy is I think he had his time. And I think we're clinging on to something that's not really there anymore. I think Jeff Hardy is... I actually didn't mind the story of him battling drugs and overcoming his addictions. I didn't mind that because I thought that... What was that about as well, by the way? Do you remember when... Sheamus put the hat on Jeff Hardy and he took it off and the face paint was there? What was that about? I hated it at the time and I still hate it now. Like, can we all agree and we look back on it now and go, what was that about? It was a street, do you remember? It was the bar brawl. And it ends with him putting the hat on top of Jeff Hardy and getting a drink, and when he takes the hat off, Jeff Hardy's got full face paint back on. I don't know if that was meant to lead to something. I have no idea, but it's just another example of WWE not knowing what to do with these cinematic matches. But I actually thought the brawl before was all right. It was all right. They went all round the bar, fought in the toilets and all that kind of stuff. I suppose they did really as much as you could. But, broke a few chairs and whatever. But, yeah, I don't know. I suppose a bar fight in an empty bar is a bit... Do you know what I mean? You kind of want... It'd been better if it was a bit more spontaneous. Do you know what I mean? But and like there'd been people around and they're screaming as they're running out and stuff, and it would have given it a bit of energy. I think the fact that bar fight happened with no one around was just took away from it. But it was in the middle of the pandemic, wasn't it? So I suppose you couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. So I suppose it was that match was a bit of a victim of the time. So look, I think I didn't mind the alcohol addiction thing coming in. I didn't mind that because I think it's a big part of who he is. And I think also that's one of the big concerns. He can put on decent matches, but you never know if he might relapse or something. And like Jimmy Uso has. So I think like him saying that he's learnt from his mistakes, it's another positive message, rather than just ignoring it. It's like, that's not me anymore. And I think, you could do some good stuff with that. I don't think they really told the story all that well. I don't think that he is really... He's got the star power. He is still a big name, but I just think he's been eclipsed now. I think he's had his time. That's how I feel. I think he's had his time. I think that he's, a decent legend that's around that you can still do some stuff with. But I just think I agree. I think his booking's been bad. I think part of that is the pandemic. I think there's definitely things they've done with him you could improve if it wasn't the pandemic. And who knows what's happening behind the scenes as well. He could have been late a couple of times or anything. He could have had a few issues behind the scenes that we're not aware of. I'm not saying drugs or drink or anything. I'm just saying, like, you never quite know what's going on, you know? He might have had a falling out with someone and plans change for those reasons. Not just him, anyone. And so many reasons as to why, you know, people get booked the way they do. You know, someone could be flavour of the month in Vince's eyes, and then Vince wakes up and decides he wants to go a different direction. So it's just it's messy, innit? It's messy, and I just think that he had a great time. People want better for him. It's hard to see him getting much better, to be honest. I kind of think things are moving on. I could see like Carrion coming up and a few other people coming up, and you have to think all the time it's just getting harder and harder and harder for him to be anywhere near that main event picture. Even the mid-card titles, I just think it's getting harder and harder. I think a lot of people probably want Willow. I think if you brought Willow in, that would give him a boost, but it's not a character that I'm desperate for, so I don't know. But I think for other fans out there, that would, you know, that little refresh I think would really help. Do you think we'll get Fiend Balor rematch, says Joaquin. I hope so. I think that is a match, and I know people won't like it, but I hope that Finn wins. I think that Finn took a big L. I think even Fiend fans can agree that he took a big L. You know, he lost to the Fiend. It was the first victim. He got put down in NXT. He's been in NXT ever since. He's been doing great stuff down there. He's established a new character. This darker side. We don't see the Demon King anymore. And now, like, if he comes back up, I hope he would beat the Fiend. I actually booked it not long ago on a stream, but I did it whereby the Fiend's still protected, because I don't think you can really beat the Fiend, to be honest. It's not going to help him. He needs wins as well. So the Fiend needs to win. Finn would need to win. I like the idea that the two lock up, have a match. Match goes for about 10 minutes. Both guys getting offense in, some big spots. Maybe Finn, you know, is at a point where he's about to win. Lights go out. When they come back on, Fiend's on the entrance ramp and he's just looking at Finn, and just a couple of nods of, you've changed. It's just an acknowledgement of, you're not the same person I faced at SummerSlam in 2019. Just a couple of nods. And then lights go out again, and that's how the segment could end. That would do. Because I just think then Balor has come back up. He's shown that he's changed. He's shown that he can hang with the Fiend. The Fiend doesn't take the L. The match doesn't go that far. I suppose technically count out, but whatever. So Balor, you know, that's it. He's shown that don't mess with me. Kind of... He stood up to the Fiend and shows, then I think the Fiend would leave him alone and Balor could just go about whatever he needs to go about and do. So I would definitely book that. Because I think if you're a Fiend fan, like, you don't lose anything. Fiend don't lose anything. He's just, you know what I mean? Fiend's just giving a nod of acknowledgement to Balor, going, you're not the same that I faced before. Like, if our paths do cross again, it's going to be a war. And you could do that further down the road, and it'd be extra interesting then. Because, okay, he beat him the first time. He seemed to struggle the second time. What happens now? You could even have Balor as champion, title on the line, Balor versus Fiend, all of that history. He sent him to NXT. He came back. They had the rematch. Balor was able to hang in there, survive. Fiend could tell this was different. And boom, you know, fast forward and we get Balor versus Fiend 3, title on the line, WrestleMania. Like, yeah, you could do some stuff, man. You could do some stuff, so I would go that way. I think it's Riddle that's going to turn. That would be more interesting, says Planet Dan. Brony said that would be a good way to book it. I agree. Hasib said, Days, I feel this year's Money in the Bank... I feel for this year's Money in the Bank, especially for the men, I feel they need someone credible to have it, as for the last few years, The winners haven't been great since 2016, so I want Seth, says Hasib. That's interesting. Ryan said, any word on Tessa? No. The only thing I've heard is that AEW and WWE NXT are not interested. So there was a few rumours that she could go to NXT about a couple of months ago. I think then there was a lot of hype when they announced Diamond Mine, because she's obviously got like the diamond on her attire, and few people thinking that she might be connected to that, but she wasn't, or it certainly isn't yet. I don't know. I think WWE knows that if they bring in Tessa, there's going to be stuff said. Do you know what I mean? Fans aren't going to forget easily what she was accused of. And I think it's difficult. It's difficult because I don't know. There's no way really of getting past it. She says that she didn't make those racist comments or bully her fellow workers. A lot of people came out from different promotions saying that they were disrespected. And, of course, one woman came out and said she was racially abused. Is that the word I'm looking for? Some fans are saying, like, it's in the past, move on. Some fans are saying that Tessa has claimed that it wasn't her, and there's, no evidence, so it's just one person's word against another. So, I don't know, it's difficult. I don't know what wrestling companies want to bring all of that on themselves. It's just bad PR in it. So, it's difficult. The one thing I do wish is I wish that it would get resolved, to be honest. I wish it would get resolved. I wish either she would come out and reiterate the fact she's innocent and say that she's got no way of disproving it or whatever, or I wish there was some movement on it. Because I do feel for her, if she's innocent, this is horrific. If she never did this, it's horrific. It has ruined her career. And she had the world at her feet, man. I mean, she was the Impact champion. First woman to win a major male championship in a major wrestling promotion. She had the world at her feet. So, I really feel for her if it's not true. But if it is true, then, we need to just move on. We need to move on. Either that or there needs to be apologies, and the apologies need to be accepted, and we need to get, some closure on it and whatever. But it's all messy. I can't see a way forward at the moment. So Impact won't take her. AEW, I think, are very tuned in with the fans. NXT would be probably the most likely place, because we've seen NXT not give a flip about things like that. They pursued, they stuck with Velveteen Dream and whatever. But I just wonder if the Velveteen Dream episode has now made them rethink their approach to this. The Velveteen Dream thing, the fact that was like Fire Velveteen Dream and it was trending and all of this, that might have just been enough for them to change their mind and go, actually, we can't afford to ignore these kind of things. So that might have been a game changer for NXT. Jennifer Lockhart, shout out to you, says, thoughts on Edge and Hardy working together down the line, whether teaming up or feuding. I like it. I wouldn't feud them. I kind of think that both of them really at this stage in their careers should be there to build others, or certainly work with young talent. Even if they're not building that young talent, certainly work with it. I like them as a tag team, Jennifer. That is not something I had considered. But Edge and Jeff Hardy as tag champs, I really like that idea. That's a really good idea. And I know that people will be like, hang on, you just said build your young stars and now you're putting belts on them. Yes, because there will be a team that beats them, that will benefit greatly from beating them. And you'll get some great tag matches out of it as well. So, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't be looking at that till middle of next year. I kind of think there's plenty for Edge to be getting his teeth into. So I wouldn't be doing anything soon on that. But I certainly like that idea, Jennifer. I think Edge and Hardy working together to, work with some young tag teams. This is the problem, though. Vince just doesn't seem to care about tag teams. So is he really going to care to see Edge and Hardy working to build some? I don't think he is. I don't think he's going to care. I don't think he's going to give a flip. So maybe he wouldn't want to waste 2 stars in a tag division. I don't know. It's going to be very interesting to see how all of this plays out with the fans being back. I think the fans have got a big voice now. If you go to the shows, you should go booing what you don't like, cheering what you do, and let's see what comes out of it. Do you know what I mean? Let's see where we get to. Because it could be that the majority of people are on the same page with who they really like and who they really don't. And wasn't it that the fans at WrestleMania cheered Tamina? I mean, I would have to go back and rewatch this because I have the sound turned down. So wasn't it that the fans cheered Tamina, and as a result of them cheering Tamina, that's why they put the tag titles on her and Natalya? That was something that was a story that I heard. So the fans might have influenced that, might have influenced Tamina becoming a tag champ because they cheered her. I don't know why they cheered her. I'm wondering if she went up to do the splash, and I think we all know how awful she is at it. And I'm wondering if that's why she got cheered, because I cannot for the life of me think why Tamina got cheered. Not for the life of me. Like, I can only imagine that the crowd were drunk and thought it was someone else. So, yeah, I don't know. I'd have to go back and rewatch WrestleMania. But yeah, I think the crowd are going to play a massive role in deciding what happens as we move forward. And I think if they do it, it's hard to exhaust the options for Edge, but I think if they've done the Seth one, the Roman one, maybe another couple, putting him with like Hardy, I think would be cool. I'd be down for seeing them 2 tag together. Austin said, Days, it depends when the Fiend and the Balor match happens for that booking. If it happened at this year's SummerSlam, Fiend would need the win more. Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's a bit too soon. Fiend needs to be back for a while. You're right. Because now, if one of Fiend's first matches back is against Finn Balor and he's not getting the win and he's nodding, going, "Oh, you've changed," you're right. You know, Fiend needs a few wins behind him. I completely agree. So, yeah, I wasn't thinking that it would be SummerSlam. I was probably thinking some point next year. Fiend definitely needs to get some wins, which brings me back to Goldberg. Should be Goldberg versus Fiend at SummerSlam. And you know, that might not get the pulse racing for Fiend fans, but you can't tell me it's going to be sweet when the Fiend beats Goldberg. And just think of, like, the build. And also, we could get an explanation. I think Fiend fans would love to know why did Goldberg win that. We know that it was a change of plan by Vince backstage, but kayfabe-wise, why did the person that doesn't feel pain, that can seemingly get burnt alive and come back, why did he get put down by a couple of moves from Goldberg? So I think, you know, a little bit of story development there, going back, righting a wrong. It's for me what the Fiend stands for. So I would book that match. But you are absolutely right. Yes, not yet. Not for Finn Balor, not yet. Man, we have proper stuck around, haven't we? Should we do... Oh, my God, I don't even know. I don't like ending at 18 minutes past. I kind of feel like 12 minutes and then we go. But I feel like we said that a while ago. So maybe 11 minutes now. Maybe 11 minutes and then we go. You've got 11 more minutes of this, whatever this is. It was Money in the Bank. It could be whatever. We're just having a Thursday night chat, which is pretty nice, actually. I've enjoyed this stream. It's been a good stream. Days, will Edge be involved in the draft this year, or will he do a John Cena role a few years, go in anywhere as a free agent? I would imagine that he will be in the draft. I think that he is someone that can't wrestle all that often, but is around enough and will be around enough whereby he's going to probably need to be drafted. I think because they drafted Brock, and Brock's not around all that much, but he's been in drafts before. So I think Edge is, you know, I think Edge would have wrestled more, but he's just been picking up injuries. So I don't know where he was after WrestleMania. It might have been a planned break, or he might have picked up a small knock in the match. I'm not too sure. But certainly, last year between Backlash, he got injured in that match, didn't he, with Orton? And then we didn't see him till, he came back this year. So that wasn't planned. So I think he's, this is his last run. I think he wants to be around as much as possible, face a few people, be on shows, cut promos. So I think if he's going to be around quite a bit, you draft him. I mean, he is on SmackDown, isn't he? It's not like he's free and he's popping up on Raw or anything. It's not like he's a free agent. So I would guess you draft him. I agree it should be Goldberg, not Goldberg Bobby. As long as Fiend gets the win, then do it. I just want to get that rematch. Fiend needs revenge. It hurt him a lot. Harry said, who do you think could lose their title from a cash-in? Depends who wins, doesn't it? Depends who wins. I wouldn't. I would cash it in on Bobby. I would cash it in on Bobby because I think if you cash it in on Roman, it's cheap. And I think that someone can massively benefit by beating Roman. I think if say Big E wins, right, and he cashes in on Roman, yes, it's significant. Yes, it's a moment. Yes, it's a big deal. But Roman has managed to get past Kevin Owens, Daniel Bryan, Jey Uso, Cesaro, Edge and Daniel at WrestleMania, potentially now Edge. The list goes on. Rey Mysterio. He's managed to get past quite a few people. All of them have tried and failed to beat Roman. When someone does it, it's going to be a big moment. When someone does it, it's going to be significant. And I just think it's going to be a little less significant if it's cash-in. It's still going to be a big moment. It's still going to be a cool moment. But could they have beaten him clean? And I suppose then that allows you to do the follow-up match to find the answer. So say Big E cashes in on Roman, wins the title. Big E's now the champ. Then you get the match of, could he have done it anyway? Could he have beaten him in a match? Because now the title's on the line and Roman's angry. You could definitely tell that story. And that would be fine. Be fine. I personally would have someone beat him clean, not cash in, and show that they are main event worthy. They haven't taken an opportunity or anything like this. They haven't been opportunistic or cheated Roman out of the title. I think you beat him clean. So I think personally I'd cash in on Bobby. I think Bobby could probably do with that protection a bit more because Bobby, if you beat Bobby, it's not as big a deal. If you beat Bobby, I think Bobby, we're expecting him to lose the title soonish at some point. And I don't know that that's going to build a new star. Say Big E pins Bobby. Brilliant. Nice moment. But it's not as significant as if you beat Roman clean. Roman is the face of WWE. He is the man in WWE. Anyone that beats him clean is a made man. It's a big deal. So I think... personally, I would have the person cash in on Bobby. It's a big moment. They become WWE champion. It's good for Bobby as well. He doesn't lose any of his, you can always say, I would have beaten you if it had been a match, blah, 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 blah. And I think someone beats Roman clean. I don't know when they do it. Because I don't think you can do it before... I can remember, last year when Roman was about to win the title, I said I would not take this title off Roman until SummerSlam I said, I know it's a long time because you've got to get all the way through to WrestleMania. Then he's got to win at WrestleMania. Then you've got to go all the way through to SummerSlam. But I would not be taking this belt off Roman until SummerSlam at the earliest. Now we're here, pretty much. I'm still not taking the title off him because I don't know if next year you do Roman Rock. I don't know when the Roman Rock thing is. It could be that Roman beats Cena. Roman could then go on to have some more feuds, beat them. He could then go on to beat The Rock at WrestleMania. All you're doing is building Roman bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And eventually, someone will beat him. And it will be huge. all of that heat, all of that momentum, all of that, like that moment is going to be so big. What a match, man. I hope it's Big E. Big E versus Roman. With Roman having beaten Cena, Rock, Rey Mysterio, Cesaro, blah, 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 blah. I don't want it to be a cash-in. It's cheap. I want it to be a proper win. Be good. Days, do you think Matt Riddle could win Money in the Bank? Yes. And Goldberg wins the title, sets up Riddle Goldberg. It does, you're absolutely right, and it's a fun little thing to talk about because they've got a big history. I don't think they'll go that way because I think Goldberg will refuse, to be honest. I've said before that wrestling and UFC is very different. In UFC, you can call someone out, and if they're not going to accept, you can then lay into them, you're a chicken. Do you know what I mean? I thought you was a fighter, you're not, you're a disgrace. Blah, 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 blah. If you call someone out in pro wrestling, it doesn't work that way because it's all booked, and you can't pick your opponents. So you're not actually, it's weird, isn't it? 'Cause you're not actually fighting your opponents in real life. You're collaborating with them. You're working with them. Whereas with UFC, you're not. In real life, you're fighting them. So you can say what you want, trash talk them all you want. But you can't do that in pro wrestling because you work together to create a match and moments and blah, 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 blah. Kayfabe, yeah? So when he was calling out Goldberg on social media and Goldberg wasn't in on it and was annoyed by it, I can understand that, to be honest. I can understand Goldberg going, this isn't how we do business in pro wrestling. Because, I mean, you're putting Goldberg in a weird situation there because not only are you challenging him to a match, but you're basically saying that you're going to win that match as well. Because Goldberg can say, yeah, I'll do the match, but I'm going over. I'm not sure Riddle would be interested in that. So Riddle, I think, wants the match with Goldberg, and he wants Goldberg to put him over. And I think he's looking for Brock to do the same as well. And it's like, why would they want to do that? Why would they want to help him out of nowhere? So I can understand Goldberg going, nah, the kid doesn't get it. The kid doesn't get how we do business in pro wrestling. I think he does now, in all fairness. I think Riddle does now. And I'd be very interested if someone asked Riddle, do you know what? This would be a great question for a journalist. Brilliant question. If you're a budding journalist, then I'm going to give you a brilliant question, yeah? Not, what's your favourite colour and all this, some stupid questions to get asked. If I had Riddle in an interview, I would say to him, knowing what you know now about pro wrestling and being in the position that you are now in WWE, would you still call out Goldberg and Brock as you did when you was on the Indies? Or have you changed your mindset? Are you looking at wrestling in a different perspective? Or would you still do the same thing? And I think that would be a fascinating answer. Because he could turn around and go, no, yeah, I'd still do the same. We're here to entertain. And that was a way of me entertaining. And even though I didn't check it with them, I think you've got to be versatile. I think you've got to be adaptable. And so I would do that. I don't mind if people do it to me. Like, he could give that answer. Or he could turn around and go, no, I've completely learned. That's not how you do business. You need to work with the booker. You need to work with Vince. You got to put a plan in place because, there's so much long-term story that's got to be told and feuds and angles. You can't just call someone out and hope that all the other pieces are going to fall into place. Like, the machine is bigger than that. I think that'd be a fascinating answer. I'd love someone to ask him that. And see if he's, changed his mind on it or if he still stands by it. So, that's why I don't think we would get Riddle cashing in on Goldberg. Riddle would love it. I don't think Goldberg would do it, to be honest. He does 2 matches a year, and I don't even think his contract is set up for him to be a champion anyway. I really think, he put Drew over, and I think Goldberg puts Bobby over. I'll be shocked if Goldberg gets the win. The only thing I would say is that Vince does love shocking us with Goldberg. Goldberg, of course, beat Brock, didn't he? Survivor Series, that was a big shock. Didn't see that coming. and then he beat Fiend. I didn't see that coming either. So if Goldberg was going to beat Bobby and shock us again, there's every opportunity or every chance that they could do it, but I'm not expecting it. Amar, shout out to you. Shout out to you, says, come on, Days. Come on, Days. Come on. Days. I'm doing this for you, Amar. Oh, you absolute muppet, Days. I haven't read the rest yet. I'm just building. Hang on. You know Roman didn't beat Kevin. First the TLC, he got help. Then the steel cage, he got help. Then the handcuffs at the Rumble, he got helped. That's true. But Amar. He did beat him. Who's the champ? Who's got the belt? Roman's got the belt. Do you know why Roman's got the belt? Because he used the match to his advantage. That Falls Count Anywhere match at Royal Rumble, you had to know Usos are getting involved, Heyman's getting involved, people are getting involved, yeah? You knew that. I knew that. You knew that. So I knew that. And surely Kevin knew that. He knew that, yeah? Kevin knew that. So if Kevin knew that, where was the backup? Where was the backup? So Roman has got support. He's got Paul Heyman. Just like the ladder match. Ladder match against Roman Reigns. Usos getting involved, yeah? You know that. I know that. The world knows that. Where's the backup? He lost it. Kevin Owens lost it because he's trying to beat Roman one-on-one. It's never going to be one-on-one. So why did he not go and get support? Why did he not go and get help? Why did he not go and get someone that can deal with Jey Uso to try and help make this one-on-one? Like, if I am Kevin Owens, I'm getting someone to deal with Heyman. I'm getting two people in case the Usos come down. I might even try and get another person in case Roman springs another surprise on me. So I'm looking to get a little group, right? I don't know if I need to pay them money. I don't know if I need to promise them future title shots. I don't know what I need to do. I'll worry about that in the future. But I'm putting a group together because I don't deserve to be champion if I'm going to go into those matches thinking it's just going to be one-on-one. From a kayfabe point of view, his stupidity, his ignorance lost him those matches. Because if he thought it was going to stay one-on-one, you knew it, I knew it, the world knew it, it wasn't. So, did he lose the match? Yeah, he lost the match. He lost all of them matches. And I granted it wasn't a fair fight, but Roman's a heel. Heels are going to do what heels are going to do. And, I just think that it wasn't a feud that made Kevin look good, to be honest. It wasn't a feud that Kevin came out of it looking brilliant in. I think he came out of the ladder match looking amazing. Was the ladder match the first time that people interfered? Maybe the first time you can excuse it. Maybe the first time you go, maybe Roman, is going to be a man of his word. It's just going to be mano a mano. So maybe the first time you can go, okay, I can understand him not having anyone around. But again and again and again, the Royal Rumble, he should have had support. He should have had support. Someone should have had his back. Some people should have been, he should have done something. He should have planned better. He should have used his intellect to win the title. And sometimes it's not just the strongest guy or the most skilled wrestler, but a lot of the time it can be, your intelligence, if you win the title or not. I actually think that's something that WWE can lean on a bit more. I think you could use that in the storyline a bit more and actually, have Kevin Owens beating himself up that he didn't get support. So then, it could have spun off into a storyline where Kevin tries to get support. That could have gone into a storyline where Kevin then has matches against people to see if they're worthy of joining his group. And if he beats them, then he doesn't deem them worthy. He is looking for people that he struggles to beat. Because if Kevin Owens can't beat them, then he knows that Roman is going to struggle as well. And I just think that you could easily have gone off into this great long-term story. But it never has that consistency, does it? Just someone attacks, Sammy attacks, and boom, it's just a new feud now. And that's how a lot of these feuds go. They just go from like, I'm feuding with this person, oh, now I've been attacked, now I'm feuding with that person. Like, this is what I'm saying about the creativity. It's just not there at the moment. But hopefully now that we've got crowds back, we can now, explore a whole new creative arc and actually get something together that's going to be quite tasty. So, good comment, though. Good comment, Amar. Shout out to you. It's a side of wrestling we don't talk about that much, but this is the side of wrestling I really enjoy. To me, wrestling is two skilled fighters trying to get the better out of each other, and that can be skill-wise, wrestling-wise, but it can also be that kind of intellect side as well. So it was a good comment. I think Ricochet could be a dark horse, says Scott. Ricochet, yeah, it could be. Well, yeah, anyone could be, couldn't they? You're not wrong, but he hasn't got any momentum, and I don't know that they see main event in him, but who knows? They have been using him more, so. WWE needs to create some new stipulations, says Jack. Bruce said WWE will have a 3-week honeymoon, then half crowd will show up, turning on the product. Oh, so okay, so you're saying 3 weeks. I was like, what are you on about? Who's WWE getting married to? So you're saying that there's going to be like 3 weeks, three weeks of good crowds, and then it'll start falling again. Well, it depends what they can do to keep people around, isn't it? I think this weekend is the reset. That's how I see it. It's the reset. It's the relaunch. We're off to the races. So I'm super excited. Super excited. Legend Killer said, do you think Zelina Vega will win? I don't think so, just because she came back to very little fanfare. So I'm not sure they see her really as like a future women's champ. I think she's a name on the roster. I think they like her. I think they could probably understand her being angry when she was released, so that's not an issue. But I think they like her. I think she's a good manager. I think she can wrestle. She's quite versatile, good promo. She's just a good person to have around, really. I could be wrong, but I don't think they wanted to let her go. I just think the Twitch thing and the third-party stuff was the problem. So I don't think they wanted to let her go, but they can't have one rule for one and a different rule for another. So they just went with having to let her go. But then I think, I don't know if she changed her stance or... I don't think they changed theirs. I think she's had to drop her Twitch or whatever. I'm not too up on that. But I think she must be in line now with their policy. And that's it. I mean, maybe she came back on Touch More Money or something. I honestly don't know the contract she's come back on. But I do think that they liked her. They saw she was a good manager and everything, and I think they're just pleased to have her back. But I'm not sure they see her as like a future women's champ. Who do you think could lose their title? We spoke about this, Harry. Harry, I swear you've got this on mute. We were saying I don't think Roman should be the one, because I think it's too big if you beat him. So I think Bobby is the better person to beat, to cash in on. Almighty Supreme said, who do you want Apollo to feud with next? That's a really good question. This Apollo thing's not working for me. Commander Aziz is alright. But we haven't really... I'd love Commander Aziz to be ruthless. If you think Commander Aziz is a commander in an army, Nigerian army or whatever it might be, I'm not seeing like the ruthlessness from Commander Aziz. I want to see Commander Aziz like snapping necks and stuff like this, you know. He's like a commander in an army, and he should be like ruthless. And I just don't get that. He just stands there. Just, do you know what I mean? Stands there and takes a few bumps. And like, I like the idea of someone knocking into him and he storms in and just murders them. Not literally, but like, you know, beats them up bad, and the match is a DQ, and Apollo's trying to get Commander Aziz off, and the ref's trying to pull him off, and Commander Aziz is just going mental. Like, really turn him into this, like, really moody killer that even Apollo can't control. I think they've got to do some work with Commander Aziz to make him more interesting. And I think automatically that then makes Apollo more interesting. Certainly if Apollo is able to control him. Granted, when he snaps, he goes, like, he struggles. But rest of the time, you know, he snaps at him and Commander Aziz falls into line. That would then make Apollo seem... Because right now, they just seem like two doofuses, right? But if Commander Aziz was more of a killer, then Apollo would come across as more legit. So I think there's a bit of work they've got to do on the characters first. Once they've done those little tweaks, then you could maybe look at, like, Tag Division. Tag Division would be all right. I'd be down for them going into the Tag Division. They could have a good feud with, like, Street Profits. In regards to, like, the Intercontinental belt, it's just not doing it for me. I'd probably take it off Apollo. And I'd do Apollo and Commander Aziz in the Tag Division for a while. I think there's probably better people that you could put that Intercontinental belt on, if I'm being honest. But that might be a question for another time, because we said we'd stick around till past. It's now coming up to quarter. We've been streaming for like 2 hours 45. So, yeah, I'll tell you what's been really interesting about the stream. It's been a bit different. Obviously, we've done hours and hours, like coming up to 3 hours of just talking, not watching a show, but just talking about wrestling and sharing our thoughts. And you guys have been pumping in your theories and chucking in your what you want to see and everything. It's been brilliant. I've loved this stream. I loved it. I think it's been so much fun. Maybe it's something we could look to do a little more of. If you are new, for whatever reason, we do this kind of stuff at the start of each Raw and the start of each SmackDown. And we spend an hour kind of just talking about wrestling. So it's not new for us to do this. It's just new for it to have its own stream. So, awesome. Right, I am slowly choking. And that's definitely a sign for us to part ways. Really appreciate the support, guys. We are back tomorrow for SmackDown. Huge. Obviously, we're back at the weekend for UFC. And we're also back for Money in the Bank. And we're also back for Raw on Monday. So we've got a lot of streams coming up this weekend. A lot of stuff we've spoke about. Obviously, we're going to get answers on very soon. So if you are around, make sure you join us. We're going to be watching and reacting live to everything that goes down. And we don't know what's going down. So, yeah, I'm pumped, man. I'm so pumped. I have not been this excited for wrestling since probably WrestleMania. I think WrestleMania, we had fans. We had a stadium. It was 2 nights. There were some good matches. It's WrestleMania as well. You never know what you're going to get. So I think since WrestleMania, I've not been this excited. So hopefully, fingers crossed for a big, big weekend. Awesome, guys. Thanks a lot for watching. Really appreciate the support. And hopefully, I'll see you again next time. Bye for now.